Chapter 1051, Soul Path Dreams, Nascent Soul Divine Sense. Chapter 1051, Chapter 371, Soul Path Dreams, Nascent Soul Divine Sense. If he were to attempt core formation in the future, he could now increase his chances by a few %. Right away, the two contemplated the changes in their conditions in silence. Lu Changxing's divine consciousness began to spread from his cave mansion to the outside world. 500 zhang. 600 zhang. 800 zhang. Only when his divine consciousness reached 1,000 zhang did Lu Changxing start to feel fatigued and strained, and he withdrew his consciousness. A divine consciousness of 1,000 zhang, this is already within the domain of a nascent soul immortal. My original limit for divine consciousness was around 500 zhang, comparable to a false core. Now it has actually doubled, akin to a nascent soul immortal. Lu Changxing's heart surged with a mix of delight and astonishment. This increase was terrifying. One must know, enhancing divine consciousness is much more difficult than increasing cultivation level. Most people's divine consciousness is improved by breaking through realms. His divine consciousness had far exceeded his peers in his early years, solely due to the effects of the Purple Mansion elixir. However, with his breakthrough to the 9th level foundation establishment, his divine consciousness was no longer far ahead of his peers, only comparable to a false core. But now, due to this inexplicable soul path dream, his divine consciousness had jumped directly to the level of core formation. Now that I have switched to practicing the yin-yang creation scripture, with a robust foundation, and a divine consciousness comparable to core formation, charging towards core formation should be a breeze for me, as long as the spiritual energy is sufficient. Lu Changxing began to examine the yin-yang magic power within his Qi Ocean core. The yin and yang colored mana flowed through his meridians and core, nourishing his physical body every moment. This mana did not possess the sharp and fierce qualities of the 7 luminaries' mana. It emanated an aura of inclusiveness and transformation, mysterious and profound. Even though the yin-yang creation scripture didn't focus on offense like the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, the power and quality of its mana were undoubtedly more than twice as high. Moreover, the yin-yang magic power, being all-encompassing, would greatly enhance the effectiveness of any technique or magical treasure he wielded. Lu Changxing felt that now, even if he didn't use his physical body, 9 treasures Rui Bone, and relied solely on his mana, he could easily vanquish the elder ancestor of the Su family from back in the day. As for Black Crow True Immortal, since he hadn't even gotten a chance to make a move, Lu Changxing didn't want to use him as a benchmark. I can now also attempt to resolve the issue of the Dragon Roar physique for Shiyu and Xiaohe. Lu Changxing exhaled deeply, a faint smile on his face. Switching to the practice of the yin-yang creation scripture was beneficial for him, not only because it laid a supreme foundation on the immortal path. The first and foremost effect was that it could resolve the issues his wife and daughter faced. Sister Miaoge? At this moment, Lu Changxing turned to look at Lu Miaoge, concerned about his wife's condition. Over the years, due to his switch to practicing the yin-yang creation scripture, Lu Miaoge's cultivation had been severely delayed, still at the foundation establishment 4th layer. Now that he had mastered the yin-yang creation scripture, he could purify the Tai Dao seed within Lu Miaoge, transforming her foundation, and take the water of virtue technique to the next level. At the same time, Qingyun sect. Inside the palace at the summit of Kaiyun Peak, Yun Wanshang was dressed in a colorful and elegant long dress, her curvaceous figure sitting in a poised position, with her long black hair cascading down her back to the ground, adding to her stunning and dignified appearance. Changxing Miaoge Yun Xiao? Yun Wanshang uttered softly and slowly opened her eyes. Seeing the familiar scenes of the palace before her, Yun Wanshang's heart surged like a tide, realizing that everything that had happened was but a dream. A dream? What is happening? Yun Wanshang murmured. Cultivators' souls are stable, and except when they are weak, succumb to qi deviation, or are influenced by supernatural techniques, they almost never dream. Her own prior state was clearly influenced by supernatural techniques. Is it because of the Sun-Moon Samsara technique and the Veronica reincarnation scripture? Yun Wanshang vaguely guessed the reason behind her dream. When Lu Changxing and Xiaoxia practiced the lunar cycle reincarnation technique, she had felt an indescribable sense of premonition. For some unknown reason, she now experienced an unprecedentedly similar sense of premonition. And it allowed her to find an opportunity in the Veronica reincarnation scripture that she could never master, propelling her to reincarnate into a dream. Yun Miaoge, that's the wife of that rascal Lu Miaoge. Could it be this sense of premonition was from Lu Changxing and his wife practicing the Sun-Moon Samsara technique? receiving entry into the soul path dream recorded within the scripture. Could soul path dreams only be accessed after reaching the nascent soul stage? Yun Wanshang furrowed her brows, pondering what was happening. Because of Lu Changxing and Xiaoxia's practice of the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, she had already guessed that the issue originated with Lu Changxing. It must be her own Tongyu Phoenix marrow body forming some sort of wonderful connection with the spirit-nurturing energy inside Lu Changxing. Therefore, as the other party practiced the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, they would resonate with her in a remarkable way. It was just that Bai Lake Mountain was quite distant from Qingyun sect and separated by a formation, so she couldn't sense it during regular cultivation. However, this time Lu Changxing, for some reason, advanced the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to an extremely profound degree, enabling her to sense it despite the considerable distance. This dream sequence, Yun Wanshang thought of the centuries-long memories from her dream, and her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of embarrassment and annoyance. In the dream, not only had she fallen in love with Lu Changxing, but in the end, to save him she even. Although it was a dream, the experience felt very real to her. If both Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge remembered such matters, she didn't know how she would face Lu Changxing afterwards. Even Yun Wanshang felt somewhat guilty towards her disciple Xiaoxia. Wait a minute, it was I who started first, what am I feeling guilty about Xiyu for? Moreover, this dream couldn't possibly be my own subconscious thoughts. It must be that rascal Lu Changxing's fantasy. Yet, in the dreamscape, that scoundrel was incredibly infatuated, unlike his promiscuous behavior now. If only he was like this just towards me and Xiyu. What am I thinking about now? Yun Wanshang immediately discarded the emerging emotions and sentiments from her heart, her face turning cold. If we say that Lu Changxing and this Yun Miaoge are the two practicing the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, then what is the situation with Lu Yunxiao? Yun Wanshang thought back to the dream where she failed to save Lu Changxing, but in his last moments of life she gave birth to a son for him. She had named the child Lu Yunxiao. In the dream, this son's birth was accompanied by heavenly phenomena, displaying shocking talent. He began chi refinement at 6, reached foundation establishment at 18, attained core formation at 60, and reached nascent soul at 180. He understood any technique without any master, challenged those beyond his realm as easily as drinking water or eating, and had never met an opponent since the start of his cultivation. His prowess was unmatched and he was invincible in all directions. After the nascent soul breakthrough, the demon race, the archenemy of the human race, was directly subdued and settled. After that, Lu Yunxiao marched into the vast mountains, sweeping through without resistance, commanding respect and making countless demon kings submit. Even now, when Yun Wanshang recalled her son's talent from the dream, she was astonished. Thinking that if she really had such a son, the entire Jiang country cultivation realm would not be able to contain him. But the question was, why would she have such a son in her dream? Could it be, within my subconscious, I wish to have a child with that rascal? Yun Wanshang thought as such. As soon as this idea appeared, Yun Wanshang immediately spat out in disgust, shaking her head and discarding the thought. She felt disdain towards him already. How could she wish to have a child with such a person? After all, every time she heard news of Lu Changxing, recalling his promiscuous behavior and the father of hundreds of children, she wished she could just cleave him with a sword. Moments later, Yun Wanshang roughly guessed the reason. It was likely related to rumors she heard from Heavenly Sword Sect. A Jianghu sect disciple named Lu Qingshan had gone to Heavenly Sword Sect to challenge their swordsman and had been invincible among his peers, with only the supreme sword bone of Heavenly Sword Sect being able to match him. Others might not be aware of the might of this supreme sword bone from Heavenly Sword Sect, but as a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect, she naturally understood well. With talent both exceptional and refined at the time, no geniuses from Qingyun sect, spirit taming sect, or Wuxia sect could stand as his opponent. Disciples who could withstand a strike from him were considered top-tier talents. Yet such a person turned out to be the father of Lu Qingshan. When she learned that Lu Qingshan was the son of Lu Changxing, she was incredibly surprised. Unexpectedly, Lu Changxing, with his promiscuous behavior, could actually father such a son with shocking talent and extraordinary gifts. Even so, Yun Wanshang, would never bear offspring for such a swine. Yun Wanshang snorted disdainfully. Moreover, even if she were really to have a child, it should have her family name Yun. Why should it have the name Lu? As Yun Wanshang's emotions gradually calmed, she suddenly realized her soul had become purer and more transparent, her divine sense noticeably enhanced, and the bottleneck in her cultivation seemed to have loosened. This? Yun Wanshang was astonished, and immediately began to quietly sense the changes within herself. Chapter 1052. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, heart of a newborn. Chapter 1052, Chapter 372. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, heart of a newborn. Red Leaf Valley Market, inside a simple and elegant cave mansion. Lu Changxing was channeling the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, using the Tai Seed Wei art to cleanse and nourish the Tao seed within Lu Miaoge. During this process, Lu Miaoge's Water of Virtue technique began to operate autonomously under the influence of the Tai Dao seed and the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, optimizing and adjusting the pathways of her cultivation technique. The portions of the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture that characterized her abilities and mana were gradually washed away, thereby acquiring some characteristics of the Yin-Yang Creation Classic. Lu Changxing suspected that after the cleansing, Lu Miaoge's Water of Virtue technique might surpass the orthodox level techniques and would not be inferior to the profound mystery level techniques. Changxing, I think I'm pregnant. That day, Lu Miaoge sensed a life force forming in her lower abdomen and spoke to Lu Changxing with some surprise. Ah, pregnant? Lu Changxing was momentarily stunned, somewhat astonished. He had been cleansing her Tao seed and foundation during these days. How could she be pregnant? Moreover, it usually took about 10 days to sense the life force of a pregnancy. 10 days ago, he and Lu Miaoge had still been immersed in soul path dreams. Could it be that the child was conceived while I was switching cultivation techniques and entering the soul path dream? Lu Changxing immediately guessed what had happened. Although at that time they were practicing the lunar cycle reincarnation technique and switching cultivation techniques, which made pregnancy nearly impossible, such an occurrence was not absolute. Years ago, when he was healing Nangong Meili, she had gotten pregnant with Nangong Yaoyao under similar circumstances. Let me check. Lu Changxing, without much thought, placed his head on Lu Miaoge's flat and soft lower abdomen. Using his spiritual force, he immediately sensed a very faint life force. It's true, you're pregnant. Lu Changxing said with a smile on his face. We were just saying after switching the cultivation technique, would try hard, I didn't expect you'd get pregnant. But in the coming days, it will delay your cultivation again, Sister Miaoge. 10 years ago, Lu Changxing had been planning to have a second child with Lu Miaoge. But because of practicing the lunar cycle reincarnation technique and switching to the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, this had been postponed. Unexpectedly, just after he had finished switching techniques, Lu Miaoge got pregnant. I wonder if this child will have exceptional talents like Yao Yao, Lu Changxing pondered internally. It wasn't that he desperately hoped for the child to have extraordinary talent for his own benefit. But having been married to Lu Miaoge for so many years, his feelings for her were different from those for his other concubines. He hoped that this child would have good talents so they could always stay together in the future. It won't delay. Lu Miaoge gently caressed her abdomen, her eyes showing a hint of maternal warmth, gentle as water. Then, with her beautiful eyes brimming, she softly asked Lu Changxing, Changxing, do you hope for a boy or a girl? Lu Changxing hadn't expected his wife to care about such a matter. But he understood Lu Miaoge's thoughts and said warmly, in my heart, boys and girls are always the same. After chatting and being affectionate for a long time, Lu Changxing went to Jianghu Mountain. He announced that Lu Miaoge was pregnant. He would take her back to Bai Lake Mountain to nurture the pregnancy, and hence hoped Lu Yuanding would return to Red Leaf Valley Market to take charge. Lu Yuanding and Lu Yuanding were both surprised to hear that Lu Miaoge was pregnant. It had been more than 30 years since they'd last had a child. However, such matter was common in the cultivation world. They had previously wondered why Lu Changxing, who loved having children, only had one with Lu Miaoge. After congratulating them, Lu Yuanding immediately told the couple to go back and nurture the pregnancy well. His injuries had healed and he could now preside over the Red Leaf Valley Market. Then Lu Yuanding, and Lu Changxing discussed the matter of the third foundation establishment cultivator at Jianghu Mountain. After so many years, Jianghu Mountain was also prepared to use the foundation establishment elixir inherited from their ancestors to produce the third foundation establishment cultivator of their family. Father-in-law, uncle, you can handle these matters as you see fit, Lu Changxing said with a smile. Since establishing Bai Lake Mountain, he rarely paid attention to Jianghu Mountain's affairs, never intervening. All these years he only dealt with business matters benefiting Jianghu Mountain, never interfering in other aspects. Okay. Lu Yuanding nodded and then summoned the Lu family disciple who was preparing for foundation establishment to meet Lu Changxing, so that Lu Changxing could get to know him. This Lu family disciple was very young, only 35 years old, and was very respectful in front of Lu Changxing. After giving a few words of encouragement, Lu Changxing and Lu Yuanding went to Red Leaf Valley Market and then took Lu Miaoge back to By Lake Mountain. By Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Is it still not possible? Lu Changxing held Ling Xixiu's wrist, channeling the Yin Yang Creation Classic, trying to solve her Dragon Roar physique issue. But her Dragon Roar chi was too intense. He was only at the foundation establishment stage, and the Yin Yang chi could only serve a restraining function to balance Yin and Yang. Thoroughly solving the Dragon Roar physique wasn't feasible at present. Chapter 1053. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, the heart of an innocent child. Chapter 1053. Chapter 372. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, the heart of an innocent child. Yin and Yang reversal. Ling Xixiao was startled by Lu Changxing's words. You have to understand, the mysteries of the spiritual body are hard to explain. Reversing the origin of a spiritual body is deemed a fantasy. Nonetheless, she still chose to believe in Lu Changxing. Moreover, she was very attracted to Lu Changxing's idea. Although she had a third-grade spirit root, that talent was far too insufficient to keep up with Lu Changxing's pace. If she could reverse the origin of the Dragon Roar physique and turn it into assistance, even if the effect was only 1/10 of the Dragon Roar physique, it would still be a significant help. My lord, I am currently fine, but it's Xiaohe, Ling Zixiao said softly. With the dragon invocation technique in hand, her Dragon Roar physique wasn't much of an issue and could wait. It was her daughter Lu Lingyi that she worried about. Just days ago, her son Lu Lingxiao had broken through to the 4th level energy refinement, and her daughter had also been asking about cultivation, which troubled her deeply. Xiaohe's Dragon Roar physique is an incomplete spirit physique, and it has not yet awakened, but my mana is sufficient to balance her yin-yang qi, Lu Changxing said with a smile. His yin-yang qi could suppress Ling Xixiu's Dragon Roar physique, so naturally, it was effortless to balance the yin-yang qi for his daughter Lu Lingyi. If that's the case, then I will trouble you, my lord. Dressed in a lake blue palace dress, with her black hair coiled up and adorned with a blue jade hairpin, Ling Xixiu's beautiful countenance was dignified and elegant. He Xiaohe is my daughter, what trouble could there be? Lu Changxing chuckled lightly, holding his wife's hand. After core formation, he wasn't sure if he could reverse Ling Xixiu's Dragon Roar origin, but he was somewhat confident in doing so for his daughter, Lu Lingyi. Ling Zixiao smiled tenderly, her bright eyes brimming with tender admiration. Although she was strong and independent, she was still a woman. After so many years married to Lu Changxing, she had grown deeply attached. When it was nearing the time for Lu Lingyi to finish school, the couple headed to the Lu family mansion. Daddy, Mommy? Lu Lingyi came home, cheerfully calling out upon seeing her parents. It wasn't so much the joy of seeing her parents, she was always in a cheerful mood. But Ling Zixiao considered this cheerfulness to be foolish happiness, an innocent laugh. Xiaohe, how is your martial arts training going? Lu Changxing came to his daughter's side and pinched her slightly chubby, tender cheeks. His daughter, who loved to eat, had a bit of baby fat on her face, making her look adorable. Daddy, take my move. Lu Lingyi wasn't asked about martial arts training by her father for the first time, so she directly demonstrated her strength with actions. Her head dipped, and she charged toward Lu Changxing like a bullish horn. But her little head was held firm by Lu Changxing, unable to budge an inch, as Ling Zixiao shook her head and heaved a sigh beside him. Very good, you're doing well, Xiaohe. You've passed Daddy's test and now you can start your cultivation. Lu Changxing released his hand from her head, allowing her to fling herself into his arms, while praise filled his voice. Ah, I can start cultivating now, really? Lu Ling's eyes went wide with surprise upon hearing she could start cultivation. She was well aware of what cultivation was, but her parents had told her that she had some issues with her body during baths before, and she needed to train well and grow a bit before she could start cultivating. Of course. Lu Changxing looked into his daughter's innocent eyes, caressed her hair bun and said indulgently, Daddy, does it mean I can use a storage bag now and fly with artifacts like my brother? Lu Lingyi asked excitedly. Her understanding of cultivation was not profound. Mainly she was bothered by not being able to use the storage bag, which was highly inconvenient. To look at her own spirit stones, her private stash of money, she had to ask her brother and sister for help. And she was very envious that her brother could fly with artifacts. That's right. Lu Changxing said with a laugh, first using his yin-yang qi to refine his daughter's physical body before he began teaching her how to cultivate. Several hours later, Lu Changxing couldn't smile anymore. He had taught many children how to cultivate, but he had never seen someone as unresponsive as his daughter Lu Lingyi. Xiaohe has been practicing martial arts for so many years with just a few moves, and the technique was always more brawn than brains. I should have realized this earlier. Lu Changxing took a deep breath, slightly troubled. Ling Zixiao didn't know what to say for a moment. She knew her daughter was a bit simple but not to such an unresponsive degree. Daddy, am I doing it right? Lu Lingyi failed to notice that her parents were upset and continued to show great enthusiasm and interest in cultivation. Lu Changxing looked at his daughter's foolishly clear eyes and let out a sigh. He brought her to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak, under the Mount Sumeru tree, to let Mount Sumeru aid his daughter in calming her mind and spirit. Then he used the third-rank music mastery to help his daughter channel the spiritual energy inside her body. Finally, with Lu Changxing's impatient guidance, his daughter Lu Lingyi completed the channel qi into the body through the returning origin technique. Daddy, I did it. Lu Lingyi completed the channel qi into the body and felt the stream of spiritual power inside her, proclaiming excitedly with a beaming face. Xiaohe is amazing. Lu Changxing rubbed his daughter's head, his smile a bit stiff, praising her. He planned to use the cave mystique treasure mirror on his daughter Lu Lingyi first, after his own breakthrough to core. Lu Changxing then taught his daughter how to use the storage bag. During the process, he warned her carefully, not to use it on anyone, not to use it on roll, and only after she tried several times herself did he lay his worries to rest. Previously, he had not thought his daughter could be so foolish, but after teaching his daughter to cultivate, Lu Changxing realized that she indeed might be capable of such. Chapter 1054. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, childlike heart. Chapter 1054. Chapter 372. Lu Miaoge is pregnant, childlike heart. Daddy, when can I fly just like brother and sister? Lu Lingyi played with the storage bag for a long time before continuing to ask. You've been practicing well these days. Later Daddy will give you a magic artifact and then you'll be able to fly. Lu Changxing knew his daughter was very envious of Lu Lingxiao's ability to fly and planned to craft a flashy but impractical flying artifact for her. Thank you, Daddy. Lu Lingyi said happily. All right, it's time to eat. Lu Changxing patted his daughter's little head, telling her to have her meal. Lord. After her daughter cheerfully went to have her meal, Ling Zixiao looked at Lu Changxing with a face full of worry. She, the mother, was not only exasperated by Lu Changxing just now but also felt depressed watching her daughter. She couldn't understand how she could have given birth to such a silly daughter. Perhaps her brain was scorched by the dragon roar physique. Xiaohe may be a bit slow in her understanding, but her heart is like that of an innocent child. If she can continue this way, it will be a good thing. Lu Changxing held his wife's hands and spoke in a gentle voice. His words were not entirely out of comfort. Human beings all have worries that internally consume their spirit, and cultivators are no exception. Many cultivators, despite having good talent, suffer from too many thoughts and worries. Their six senses are not pure, making it difficult to attain a peaceful mind during cultivation. They progress slowly and easily encounter bottlenecks and heart demons. On the contrary, some people with pure hearts and sincerity, free of any worries or internal spiritual consumption, rarely face such bottlenecks during cultivation and have the advantage of a stable state of mind, referred to as the heart of a child. The heart of a child. Upon hearing these words, Ling Zixiao reflected, realizing that her daughter, who was quite grown up, had indeed always been foolishly happy and never troubled. Even with the issue of not being able to cultivate before, she would just occasionally ask and not care too much about it, certainly fitting the description the heart of a child. After hearing what you, my lord, have said, I feel it's quite nice for Xiaohe to be this way. Ling Zixiao leaned into Lu Changxing's embrace and whispered. She thought that it was quite good for her daughter to be carefree and without worries. After all, with herself and Lu Changxing there, her daughter wouldn't have too much to be concerned about. But thinking about her daughter's recent cultivation and the prospect of her cultivating other cultivation techniques, magical techniques and divine skills in the future, Ling Zixiao felt a headache coming on. In the following days, Lu Changxing spent his time accompanying his wives and children at home. Although Lu Miaoge was pregnant, the baptism of the Tao seed was not affected. Moreover, as the Tai life water technique was a dual cultivator's technique, it was somewhat beneficial to the birth of offspring. So during these days, Lu Changxing also hastily baptized the Tao seed for Lu Miaoge, further solidifying her foundation. After 3 months, Lu Miaoge's Tai Tao seed finally transformed under the baptism of the Yin Yang creation scripture. Lu Miage's cultivation level broke through from the foundation establishment 4th layer to the 5th layer. The new Water of Virtue technique was more than twice as profound as before. Moreover, Lu Miaoge felt that the Water of Virtue technique now was a better fit for her. Because the Water of Virtue technique was more of a supplementary technique, not good for attack. Though the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture added some offensive capability to the cultivation technique, it was not very fitting for Lu Miaoge. The Yin-Yang creation scripture, being well-balanced and all-encompassing, was in harmony with the Water of Virtue technique and Lu Miage's temperament. After Lu Changxing finished transferring her practice to the new techniques, he also helped Lu Miaoge upgrade and recast her 2 life-bound spiritual artifacts. The original Ruoshui bottle was renamed by Lu Changxing as the Yin-Yang Pure Jade bottle. As for the Tai Chi talisman, it remained the same, only incorporating several rare materials to elevate its grade to a top-grade spiritual tool. It's a pity about this 7 Luminaries heart lamp of mine. Lu Changxing looked at his 7 Luminaries heart lamp. He had spent a lot of time and effort to craft this 7 Luminaries heart lamp. Now that he was transferring his practice to new techniques, this life-bound spiritual artifact was no longer suitable for him, and he needed to craft a new life-bound spiritual artifact. However, the 7 Luminaries heart lamp couldn't keep up with his progress and cultivation level anymore. It was still a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Never mind, he'll think about the issue of magical treasures after reaching core formation. Lu Changxing shook his head, not dwelling too much on the matter of life-bound spiritual artifacts and life-bound magic treasures. Such concerns were immensely time-consuming, draining both energy and resources, and simply couldn't be resolved in a short while. Moreover, the spirit stones sponsored by kind benefactors in his early years had been mostly spent over these years. Now, if he were asked to produce a large sum of spirit stones to forge a life-bound magic treasure, he really couldn't afford it. Not to mention that many of the materials required to refine a magical treasure could hardly be assembled with spirit stones alone. After aiding his wife to upgrade and reforge her spiritual artifact, Lu Changxing didn't forget about his daughter Lu Ling's magic artifact. He had crafted a pair of windfire wheels for his daughter. Since his daughter, Lu Lingyi, definitely couldn't wield artifacts to fly given her cultivation level, Lu Changxing had refined this artifact to operate like a puppet, which could be activated by consuming spirit stones, and could be wielded by her will. It could be said that these kinds of artifacts were purely ornamental and served little function. Other than him, hardly any artifact refiner would be willing to craft such things. However, it could only be said that if it made his daughter happy, it was worth it. "Thank you, Daddy." Lu Lingyi looked at the pair of windfire wheels, her eyes sparkling and full of excitement, and then she wanted to try out the effect of these windfire wheels. But she was only at the 1st layer of Qi refinement, without even a trace of spiritual awareness. She couldn't control the windfire wheels at all. Only Lu Changxing could help her. With Lu Changxing lifting his hand, the windfire wheels below Lu Ling's feet began to spin slowly, emitting a bunch of golden flames, very dazzling. Then a breeze of deep azure gently rose, swirling around Lu Lingyi and lifting her into the air. "Yay yay yay, Daddy, I'm flying." Lu Lingyi stood on the windfire wheels yelling happily, utterly thrilled. However, the very next day, Lu Changxing saw his daughter Lu Wangshu, at the 9th level of energy refinement, flying around joyfully on these windfire wheels. "Daddy, these windfire wheels are so fun, I want one too. Can you make one for me?" Lu Wangshu approached her father, coiling around Lu Changxing's arm with an endearing and well-behaved look on her face. She mentioned that the flying speed of these windfire wheels was not enough, it was too childish. She wanted one that could fly fast and use the flames as a magic artifact. Lu Changxing was somewhat speechless as he looked at his daughter, saying, this was meant to be a toy for Xiaohe, not suitable to be used as a normal magic artifact. "Daddy, please, pretty please make one for me," Lu Wangshu pleaded in a coquettish tone. Alright, I'll make one for you when I have some free time." Under such offensive, Lu Changxing could only nod and agree. There was no helping it, a daughter who knew how to act charming was indeed fortunate. This daughter knew he was a pushover for a sweet approach. A little coaxing was all it took for such minor matters. "Okay, Daddy, you're busy," Lu Wangshu said obediently. "Focus on your cultivation." Lu Changxing instructed, and left by Lake Mountain for Qingyun sect to find Xianxia and practice the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. Every few years he would visit Qingyun sect to see Xianxia, or Xianxia would come to Bai Lake Mountain. Having not gone for such a long time, he naturally wanted to pay her a visit. Arriving at the gate of Qingyun sect, Lu Changxing thought about his previous soul path dreams and became curious about Xiaoxia's master, Kaiyun True Immortal. He wanted to see the true appearance of this esteemed person. However, considering he had visited Qingyun sect many times and never encountered this Kaiyun True Immortal, he feared that meeting her might be difficult. Lu Changxing didn't ponder much longer, took out the yin-yang sensing talisman, and sent a message to Xiaoxia. Chapter 1055, Yunwanshang, let's see if you still act aggrieved then. Chapter 1055, Chapter 373, Yunwanshang, let's see if you still act aggrieved then. Qingyun sect. Kaiyun Peak within the palace atop the mountain. Elemental female reincarnation technique. Yun Wanshang looked at the cultivation technique in her hand, her brows tightly knitted, indicating great unrest in her heart. The previous soul path dreams, although they had elevated her divine sense and broken through bottlenecks, also allowed her to master this elemental female reincarnation technique. But they also made her realize that her mastery of the elemental female reincarnation technique was purely a matter of chance. To continue practicing this technique, she must complement it with the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. And she, alone, naturally couldn't practice the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. To practice it, she could only seek out Lu Changxing. If I want to break through to nascent soul, I must confront this issue directly. Even if not for practicing the elemental female reincarnation technique, just to fortify my mental state, I must take this step. Yun Wanshang muttered to herself, her gaze deep and inexplicable, as if she was making some difficult decision. The previous soul path dreams, aside from advancing her cultivation level and mastering the elemental female reincarnation technique, also caused her to question her own heart, realizing there were flaws in her mental state. She had been troubled by lingering thoughts about Lu Changxing, which had become an obstacle to her. For some cultivators, clear mental states and uninterrupted thoughts might not be crucial for breakthroughs. But a flawed mental state and obstructed thoughts were definitely detrimental to advancing to nascent soul. Not to mention, one of the two major tribulations of advancing to nascent soul, the demonic tribulation, requires one to confront and question their very heart. Now that I have mastered the elemental female reincarnation technique, my body will always remain in its peak condition, which means I have over 300 more years to prepare. So when I attempt to form my nascent soul in the future, I must ensure no problems arise due to my mental state. Yun Wanshang took a deep breath and said this. She had cultivated for merely 180 years. At her age, being at the core formation late stage, she was considered quite young. She had plenty of time to cultivate to the peak of core formation and then strive for nascent soul. And usually, Dan cultivators around 350 years old start experiencing a decline in physical condition, which impacts their nascent soul formation. Having mastered the elemental female reincarnation technique, she would maintain peak physical condition until passing away. That is to say, even if she attempted nascent soul at 400 or 500 years old, her physical condition would not be an impediment, allowing her all that time to prepare for nascent soul formation. Under such circumstances, if she failed to form her nascent soul due to a flawed mental state and obstructed thoughts, Yun Wanshang could not accept that. Alas! But thinking of the relationship between Lu Changxing and her disciple Xiaoxia, Yun Wanshang sighed again. To fortify her mental state and achieve uninterrupted thoughts, surely she couldn't really strike down Lu Changxing with a sword, right? Not to say that she wasn't that kind of person and incapable of such action. She also knew in her heart that doing so would not clear her thoughts. If I can further improve the elemental female reincarnation technique with the Sun-Moon Samsara technique and refine the true elixir into a golden core using spirit nurturing energy, he'll have at least a 70% confidence in breaking through to nascent soul. Yun Wanshang knew where her thoughts were obstructed. Spirit nurturing energy. Her Tongyu Phoenix Marrow body was an incredibly rare spiritual body. It wasn't particularly effective before core formation. But once she broke through core formation, the emanating spirit nurturing energy was astonishing. Having the Tongyu Phoenix Marrow body, if one broke through core formation they could aspire to nascent soul. But despite possessing such a spiritual body and such a chance at nascent soul, she could only look on, not use it, which naturally led to frustration and discontent. Moreover, for a woman, letting go of her first time isn't so easily done, especially seeing Lu Changxing becoming increasingly outstanding, constantly appearing within her sight. Yun Wanshang felt irritable in her heart and thought back to the previous soul path dreams where she engaged in dual cultivation with Lu Changxing, breaking through to nascent soul with the aid of her Tongyu Phoenix Marrow body. Though it was but a dream. Based on her understanding of soul path dreams, many things within the dream held elements of both reality and falsehood, and there were signs to follow. If she could be with Lu Changxing in reality as in the dream, then it was highly likely she could break through to nascent soul. Yet even though she knew dual cultivation with Lu Changxing had countless benefits, just the thought of his relationship with her disciple Xianxia prevented her from overcoming this hurdle in her heart. After all, she couldn't really do as she did in the dreams, right? In the previous soul path dreams, a mother and daughter danced together. As for master and disciple, it doesn't seem to be much of an issue. Besides, it's just cultivation. Such dual cultivation not only benefits me but him as well. Yun Wanshang, thinking of all that happened in the previous soul path dreams, felt that there wasn't much to master and disciple. However, the next moment she shook her head to dispel these thoughts from her mind and murmured, Yun Wanshang, Yun Wanshang, you are truly bewitched to have such thoughts. Yun Wanshang took a deep breath, exhaled long and closed her eyes in concentration. Feeling that the previous soul path dreams couldn't help but impact her. In previous years she would have never had such thoughts. Just then, quite abruptly, Yun Wanshang suddenly felt a familiar and inexplicable palpitation. A jade pendant appeared in her hand. Looking at the flowing brilliance upon the jade pendant, Yun Wanshang knew that Lu Changxing had come to Qingyun sect. Currently practicing the Sun-Moon Samsara technique with her disciple Xianxia. Now she somewhat regretted giving the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to Lu Changxing and Xianxia. Because as long as the two practiced the Sun-Moon Samsara technique within Qingyun sect, her Tongyu Phoenix marrow body would inherently sense and palpitate. Upon sensing this inexplicable palpitation, she would become inexplicably irritated and find it hard to focus on cultivation, wishing she could strike Lu Changxing down with a sword. At this moment Yun Wanshang's brows furrowed slightly as if deep in thought. The unresolved thoughts concerning Lu Changxing were not only due to spirit-nurturing energy but also because she held no small resentment towards him. After all, as a nascent soul immortal of stature, she gave him an opportunity to depend on her, suggesting he could contact her after reaching Foundation establishment. Chapter 1056. Yun Wanshang, let's see if you still play the victim then. Chapter 1056. Chapter 373. Yun Wanshang, let's see if you still play the victim then. So you didn't eat it and then madly procreated like a breeding pig, even getting together with your own disciple Xianxia. What does this mean? Do you look down on yourself? Under such circumstances, naturally she felt repressed and displeased. Since that was the case, why should she be courteous to the other party? She directly forced dual cultivation, using the spirit-nurturing energy to refine the golden core just the same. After all, as a nascent soul immortal herself, why should she always humble herself and concern herself with a little Foundation establishment cultivator? Besides, dual cultivation with him also had great benefits for him. Clearly he was the one gaining. Yun Wanshang thought back to the soul path dream where Lu Changxing, this little thief, shamelessly lied to her over and over again, saying it was all for cultivation. Now she was the one truly doing it for cultivation. The more Yun Wanshang thought about it, the clearer and more justified her thoughts became. In the past you helped me detoxify. Now I can also use you for cultivation. Let's see if you can still pretend to be that aggrieved when the time comes. Even after decades had passed, Yun Wanshang still remembered Lu Changxing's aggrieved face, as if he had been wronged and she wanted to punch him. A father of dozens of children, yet still acting as if he had been wronged in front of her. How shameless. Mingyue residence. In the ancient-styled cave mansion. Lu Changxing had just practiced the lunar cycle reincarnation technique with Xianxia. Xia, typically cold and holy like the bright moon of the nine heavens, now bore a face full of spring passion, her beautiful eyes somewhat dreamy and hazy. Lu Changxing embraced Xiaoxia's exquisite and beautiful fairy-like body and gently caressed her sweat-dappled, fair skin. Xia, how has your cultivation been these years? Lu Changxing thought about the supreme forgetfulness technique. So many years had passed, and he still hadn't found a way to overcome the supreme forgetfulness technique. However, his wife, Lu Miage's water of virtue technique had given him a bit of inspiration. The water of virtue technique had changed significantly because he had changed his cultivation technique, and it was noticeably different from before. But essentially, it was still the water of virtue technique. If that was the case, could the supreme forgetfulness technique potentially take a different path like the water of virtue technique? To forget love entirely could work. An indifferent disposition could work. But as long as the status quo is maintained, Wouldn't Xiaoxia's cultivation and state of mind be unaffected by the love and maternal affection experienced between him and their daughter, Lu Wangshu, thus resolving the shortcomings of the supreme forgetfulness technique? Xia, Lu Changxing felt this was a solution. He expressed his thoughts and asked about the supreme forgetfulness technique. Although he knew Xiaoxia was cultivating the supreme forgetfulness technique, he was unaware of the specifics. After all, cultivation techniques were considered private for cultivators. Generally, one would not ask too much. Adjust the technique and forge a different path? Upon hearing this, Xiaoxia was stunned by Lu Changsheng's bold idea. Although there were many talented cultivators who had developed their own understandings from their predecessors' techniques, people like that were exceedingly rare. If the supreme forgetfulness technique were to have the effect that Lu Changxing described, it would be tantamount to creating a new technique. Such a feat, if performed by a nascent soul true lord or a deity of transformation, might be somewhat feasible. But the two of them were merely foundation establishment cultivators. Even if they were exceptionally talented and perceptive, they were far from reaching such heights. However, since her lover harbored such thoughts, Xiaoxia naturally wouldn't discourage him. She shared the supreme forgetfulness technique with him and detailed her own understanding and insights. Supreme forgetfulness is not about heartlessness, but about the impartiality of the heavenly Tao. Yet cultivators, after all, cannot achieve the impartiality of the cosmos, hence they misinterpret the true essence of forgetfulness into heartlessness. Lu Changsheng's palm cradled her milky white breasts, letting the smooth, creamy texture flow, as he listened intently to the supreme forgetfulness technique. Heaven and earth embody the yin and yang, harboring everything. Having emotions or being emotionless defines yin and yang. Given this, could this supreme forgetfulness potentially transform from heartlessness to being heartfelt? Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly as he contemplated. Although he was just a foundation establishment cultivator, his mind held a plethora of cultivation techniques that he had understood, especially with the yin-yang creation scripture. This placed him, in some aspects, even above the nascent soul immortals and nascent soul true lords. According to Shiyu, Lu Changxing reflected, the supreme forgetful love technique has three mental states: desire without emotion, emotion without desire, and neither desire nor emotion. It shows that the supreme forgetful love technique also makes one experience both emotion and desire before reaching a state devoid of both. Lu Changxing appeared pensive as he analyzed this technique through the yin-yang creation scripture. He knew that theoretically, this technique could lead to either emotionless or emotional states and vice versa. Another issue is that this technique might affect the mental spirits of others. If I could spiritually merge with Shiyu, sense her usual and current spiritual states, there might be a way to resolve this. After thinking for a long time, Lu Changxing felt he needed a clearer and deeper understanding of Xiaoxia's condition in order to solve the problem from its root. Because Xiaoxia had cultivated this technique for decades. Her mental spirit was influenced by this technique. He must understand this issue clearly to provide a targeted solution. Otherwise, simply listening to Xiaoxia describe the technique and then making suggestions could lead to numerous problems. Moreover, once I achieve core formation and obtain the Cave Mystique treasure mirror, I might understand this technique even better. Lu Changxing mused to himself. Without much thought, he softly said to Xiaoxia, Shiyu, if we can achieve dual cultivation on a spiritual level, there might be a way. Come, let us cultivate more and strive to reach that state as soon as possible. This Sun-Moon Samsara technique was truly a premier dual cultivation technique. If cultivated to a profound state, one could perform dual cultivation of both soul and consciousness. By then, he could use this method to gain a deeper understanding of Xiaoxia's supreme forgetful love technique. He could also use this method to allow Xiaoxia to sense the yin and yang aspects of his yin-yang creation scripture. Xiaoxia hummed softly, her cheeks flushed as she continued to merge body and mind with Lu Changxing. Above their heads, the sun and moon began to rotate slowly, emitting a gentle luster, filling the cave mansion with the aura of spring. After staying briefly at Mingyue residence, Lu Changxing left Kaiyun Peak. However, he did not return directly to Bai Lake Mountain. Instead, he went to Lingyao Peak to Zhao Qingqing's 100 Herbs Garden. Now that they had a child together, Zhao Qingqing often visited Bai Lake Mountain, but she could not possibly live there permanently. Hence, having come all the way to Qingyun sect, it was natural for Lu Changxing to visit Zhao Qingqing. Damn scoundrel. At that very moment, atop the palace on Kaiyun Peak, Yun Wanshang watched Lu Changxing heading toward Lingyao Peak, her slender, jade-like hands gripping the railing tightly. She had been fraught with confusion and turmoil these days. thinking about whether she should use that method to clear her thoughts. After all, in Yun Wanshang's view, such actions seem somewhat akin to those in the demon path. However, thinking of her nascent soul opportunity, despite her dissatisfaction with Lu Changxing, Yun Wanshang decided to clear her thoughts. Now that she finally saw Lu Changxing leaving Kaiyun Peak, she planned to follow him once he left Qingyun sect. But, unexpectedly, Lu Changxing had run off to Lingyao Peak to have a secret rendezvous with another woman, acting as if Qingyun sect was his own house. Yun Wanshang's fair hands clung to the railing, her proud chest heaving with anger, wishing she could immediately order the enforcement hall to take Lu Changxing away. "I want to see how long you plan to stay there this time." Yun Wanshang's stunning face was covered in frost. 3 days later, seeing Lu Changxing leave Qingyun sect with Zhao Qingqing, her facial expression stiffened. After all, she had been considering using spirit-nurturing energy to temper the golden core but was still unsure how to do so. Now with Zhao Qingqing involved, she felt even more at a loss. It's not like she could knock out Zhao Qingqing and kidnap Lu Changxing, could she? What would she be turning herself into then? "No, I've been disturbed by this scoundrel these days, and my mental spirit is in chaos." Yun Wanshang took a deep breath and ultimately chose to give up. She felt that she was currently unable to face Lu Changxing calmly. It wasn't just because of the influence of the soul path dreams. It was also because, over this past half-month, Lu Changxing, that beast, had been continuously cultivating the Sun-Moon Samsara technique with Xianxia, preventing her from settling down to cultivate, leaving her constantly agitated. Chapter 1057, Tai Soul Body, Cauldron Medical King's Scripture. Chapter 1057, Chapter 374, Tai Soul Body, Cauldron Medical King's Scripture. Time flew by swiftly, and before long, 3 months had passed. That day marked the 25th annual family meeting of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. At this meeting, the family head, Lu Yun, concluded his 20-year tenure and stepped down from his position. The new family head was Lu Xingyang, the second son of Xia Zizhu, who was 24 years old this year. This son was quite capable, considered above average. However, Lu Changxing's choice of this son was partly influenced by Xia Zizhu. After all, Xia Zizhu had borne him 5 spiritual root children, and was expecting to continue with the 6th, 7th, and 8th. This arrangement served as a small compensation. Regarding other new systems within the family, Xingyang, go ahead and announce them. Lu Changxing looked at his son Lu Xingyang and spoke. Previously, the Lu family had not established the position of an elder. Now, more than 20 years later, the family had stabilized, and Lu Changxing took this opportunity to make a simple adjustment by creating the position of an elder. This involved subdividing responsibilities for spirit plants, talisman making, alchemy, artifact refining, beast taming, law enforcement, transmission of skills, sect affairs, and many more. There would be one elder for each duty. As for Lu Yun, who had just stepped down as family head, he would be the great elder. He was responsible for managing the family finances and assisting the family head with family affairs. "Yes, father." After hearing his father's words, Lu Xingyang took a deep breath, nodded, and began to make the announcements. After arranging everything, Lu Changxing left the council hall. He seldom intervened in these matters on normal days and had come this time purely to play a leading role. 3 months later, the child in Lu Miaohuan's womb was born. It's a relief that the child has a spiritual root. Lu Changxing used the system to learn that the child possessed a spiritual root, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Because Lu Miaohuan had been worrying about this issue recently, constantly voicing her concerns to him, causing him to also worry. Lu Changxing helped the 9-month pregnant Lu Miaoge into the delivery room to visit Lu Miaohuan. He was not particularly worried about the child in Lu Miaoge's womb, but rather very much looking forward to it. Because the child had been in the womb for over 9 months without any sign of birth. Usually this indicated that the child had good talent. Huan. Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge approached the pale and weak Lu Miaohuan on the bed and gently inquired about her condition. Pregnancy and childbirth are draining, whether for ordinary people or energy-refining cultivators who have just given birth. Even though Lu Miaohuan practiced the heavenly longevity technique and her body was extraordinary, she was still weakened. Husband's sister. Lu Miaohuan passed the baby in her arms to Lu Changxing. They already knew the gender of the child. It was a girl. It fulfilled Lu Miaohuan's desire for a dear little girl. However, Lu Changxing always felt that, with Lu Miaohuan's personality as a mother, it was doubtful the daughter would grow into the sweet and cute little girl she hoped for. She's really cute. Lu Changxing held the daughter, a smile appearing on his face. He didn't know if it was because of Lu Miaohuan. The life force of this daughter seemed more vigorous than an ordinary baby. Then Lu Changxing named this daughter Lu Qingqi and, using the system panel, checked her spiritual root talent. Not bad, 4th grade spiritual root, truly a little genius. Yuner, send a message to White Tiger Mountain, tell Qing Song to come back when he has time. Lu Changxing thought of his son Lu Qingsong, who was at White Tiger Mountain. He felt it necessary for him, as this girl's elder brother, to come and visit. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away from White Tiger Mountain, Lu Qingsong, accompanied by the 9 Netherhound, had just finished patrolling a few veins and was preparing to return. Suddenly he heard noises up ahead. He saw a woman in a yellow silk gown and veiled face being attacked by 4 energy refining cultivators. It was clear the 4 energy refining cultivators were not good people. But strife and conflict happened all the time in the cultivation world. It might be for fortunes or grievances, and the rights and wrongs were difficult to discern, so Lu Qingsong was not inclined to interfere. However, just then, the woman in the yellow gown suddenly spat out blood under the assault of the 4 men and was blown back, her veil floating off, revealing a pale, delicate face with a hint of heroic spirit. Lu Qingsong paused when he saw the woman's face and felt an inexplicable stirring in his heart. He was no stranger to beautiful women. In fact, he had seen so many beautiful women that he was somewhat immune to them. But for some reason, seeing her pale, frail appearance gave him an indescribable feeling. Noticing the dire situation the woman in the yellow gown was in, Lu Qingsong didn't need to think to know what would happen next. Immediately he shouted at the 4 cultivators, "Let go of that lady." His father had once told him to be bold if he met someone he liked. He was unsure if he liked this woman at first sight. But at the moment he didn't mind playing the hero to save the beauty. Jiuyo. Oh! Upon hearing the command, the 9 Netherhound let out a roar. Instantly, its body surged with demonic power, causing fierce winds to sweep towards the 4 men. Spare our lives. Taoist, spare our lives. The 4 energy refining cultivators were utterly terrorized by the roar, blood streaming from their 7 orifices, trembling uncontrollably, and they scrambled to flee. However, the pale-faced woman in the yellow gown also fainted under the bellow. "Ah, didn't I tell you not to hurt her?" Lu Qingsong, seeing that the woman in the yellow gown had fainted from the 9 Netherhound's attack, suddenly felt rather embarrassed. What was meant to be a heroic rescue had been completely disrupted by the 9 Netherhound. Chapter 1058, 374. However, Lu Qingsong didn't feel it was appropriate to criticize the 9 Netherhound about this. After all, their communication had always been somewhat problematic. Lu Qingsong immediately commanded the 9 Netherhound to step forward and slay the 4 energy refining cultivators. Then, looking at the unconscious woman in the yellow skirt, he checked her condition and took her back to White Tiger Mountain. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, over 5 months had gone by. The child in Lu Miao's belly was finally born. At the exact moment of the child's birth, a system notification rang in Lu Changxing's mind. "Congratulations, host, on the birth of 7 spiritual body descendants. You have earned 1 lottery chance." Spiritual bodies. Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Changxing's heart surged with excitement. Though he had held great expectations for the child and felt it might possess a spiritual body, learning that his son actually had a spiritual body still thrilled him. However, the next moment he realized something was amiss. He only received the enhancements from the child's spiritual root, without sensing any enhancements from the spiritual body. Could it be similar to Lu Wangshe's blood talisman spiritual body, a latent spiritual body that requires a certain method to awaken? Lu Changxing immediately speculated. He didn't ponder long before he quickly entered the room to visit Lu Miaoga and the baby in her arms. It could be said that carrying the baby for a year and 3 months wasn't in vain. His son looked exquisitely beautiful, with fair and rosy skin giving off a radiant luster. Qingxian Lu Qingxian. Lu Changxing held his son aloft, feeling a surge of affection as he called out his name. Iyaya, the baby held high by Lu Changxing, neither cried nor fussed, his clear eyes looking at him. But the next moment, Lu Changxing slapped his tender bottom, and the child immediately began crying loudly, his voice full of vigor. "Ha!" Lu Changxing laughed heartily, causing Lu Miaoga to glance at him disapprovingly. After Lu Miaoga had rested, Lu Changxing settled the child and recited silently in his mind to check the attributes of the son. Name, Lu Qingxian, lifespan, 179th, talent, Third grade spirit root, Tai soul body, superior spiritual body. Cultivation level, none. Talent, management 39%. Tai soul body, what spiritual body is this? Lu Changxing looked at this spiritual body of his son, frowning slightly. He had spent time understanding spiritual bodies. One could say he was knowledgeable about most of them. But he had never heard of this Tai soul body. Immediately thereafter, Lu Changxing went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven to inquire from Hong Lian if she knew about the Tai soul body. Tai soul body? Hong Lian, accustomed to Lu Changxing's inquiries, voiced that it was an extremely rare soul path spiritual body and a latent spiritual body. Every time there was a breakthrough in realm, the strength of the soul would increase far beyond that of ordinary cultivators. Soul path spiritual body? A strange expression appeared on Lu Changxing's face. Could it be that because he and Lu Miaoge entered the soul path dreams, their child was born as a soul path spiritual body? He continued to ask, Hong Lian, do you know how to awaken the Tai soul body? This type of latent spiritual body always presented one problem. Awakening it was tremendously troublesome. Without the right opportunity, one might never awaken it in their lifetime. As far as I know, there are two methods for awakening the Tai soul body. The first is through the stimulation of the soul by a third-rank lightning attribute spiritual wood, which causes the soul body to awaken. The second is through the stimulation of the soul by blood essence spirit light, thereby causing the soul body to awaken. Hong Lian spoke in a light and melodious voice. Blood essence spirit light? What is that? Lu Changxing knew about third-rank lightning wood, but he had never heard of blood essence spirit light. This blood essence spirit light is refined from the total essence blood and demon soul of a third-rank demon king. It can be used for comprehending the innate divine abilities of demon beasts. Hong Lian explained. What's the difference between these two awakening methods? Lu Changxing narrowed his eyes and asked. From Hong Lian's description, it was clear that third-rank lightning wood and this blood essence spirit light were not of the same order. If the Tai soul body awakens using blood essence spirit light, there is a high chance to master the innate divine ability of that demon beast at the moment of awakening, Hong Lian stated, her voice elegant and melodious. A high chance to master the demon beast's innate divine ability? Lu Changxing's face showed a mix of astonishment and surprise. For cultivators themselves, mastering divine abilities was extraordinarily difficult, requiring a significant amount of time. And yet, this Tai soul body might enable mastery of a demon king's innate divine ability at the time of awakening. Given that the awakened innate divine abilities of demons, the bloodline supernatural power were usually exceptional, if he could obtain the blood essence spirit light or even choose a top-tier demon beast to refine the blood essence spirit light, his son could directly master a top-tier innate divine ability. That's correct. Under normal circumstances, it's highly difficult to comprehend innate divine abilities through blood essence spirit light. If the Tai soul body uses blood essence spirit light to awaken, this process could directly lead to understanding and transform into an innate divine ability. However, whether it's third-rank lightning wood or blood essence spirit light, the awakening process is extremely dangerous, so to awaken the Tai soul body, at least divine sense must first be born. Hong Lian spoke out. Seeing Lu Changxing in such a state, she could not help but speculate, could it be that he had again fathered a child with a Tai soul body? If that was the case, it would be astonishing indeed. Lu Changxing nodded, understanding the reasoning. In the past, when he helped his daughter Lu Wangshu awaken the blood talisman spiritual body, he spent a great deal of time and effort acquiring gentle spiritual blood, fearful of harming his daughter. Both third-rank lightning wood and blood essence spirit light brought about stimulations far from ordinary. A little energy refining cultivator might perish in the process of awakening. Without delay, Lu Changxing continued to ask Hong Lian for some details about the Tai soul body. Chapter 1059, Tai soul body, Cauldron Medical King Scripture. Chapter 1059, Chapter 374, Tai soul body, Cauldron Medical King Scripture. Hong Lian patiently answered his questions, making Lu Changxing unable to help feeling deeply moved. Indeed, having an elder in the family is like possessing a treasure. Without Hong Lian, even if he knew about the Tai Chi soul body, it would have been very difficult to find a method to awaken his spiritual body. Such a spiritual body, if it appears in a small family that has not joined an immortal sect, or hasn't met a senior expert, I'm afraid it would be difficult to awaken in their lifetime. Lu Changxing reflected in his heart. The difficulty of awakening the Tai Chi soul body is much greater than that of the blood talisman spiritual body. The third rank Thunderwood was somewhat more manageable. As long as one had enough spirit stones, a foundation establishment cultivator might still be able to purchase them. But the blood essence spirit light, even for nascent soul cultivators, was extremely precious. After all, to slay a third-rank demon king with innate divine ability, and refine its essence blood and demon soul into blood essence spirit light, is no small feat. However, considering that awakening with the blood essence spirit light had a great chance to acquire demon beast bloodline supernatural powers, Lu Changxing naturally planned to awaken his spiritual body through this method. Qin Xian is still young, there's no rush to awaken. As for myself, there's no hurry either. I will consider it after reaching the core formation stage and then plan a trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Lu Changxing secretly pondered. Although there were demon beasts in nearby mountain ranges, to find a third-rank demon king, he must go to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Moreover, aside from awakening the Tai Chi soul body, Lu Changxing had long planned a trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Because it was very difficult to upgrade the family's spirit vein, the only way was to capture the spirit vein origin through the dragon-seeking technique. In normal places, there was hardly any spirit vein origin for him to capture. The best places to find unclaimed spirit veins were in such demon beast mountain ranges. System lottery draw. Lu Changxing stepped out of the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, arrived at the Blue Cloud Peak summit, and silently muttered in his heart. Nowadays, he had also gradually formed a habit of enjoying the lottery draw while overlooking the vast Baishui Lake from this Blue Cloud Peak summit. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the cultivation technique, Cauldron Medical King's Scripture. The reward has been issued to the system space, and the host may check it at any time. A pattern of a shiny jade scroll emerged, accompanied by the system notification sound. Cauldron Medical King's Scripture, an alchemist's cultivation technique? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow. He now had a good feel for cultivation techniques. Because he had more children in the family, he deeply realized that the foundation of his current cultivation techniques was somewhat insufficient. Cultivation technique, Cauldron Medical King's Scripture. Grade, peripheral sect level, description. A Medicine King Valley cultivation technique that draws from the heavenly spiritual fire, refines one's physical body into a glazed treasure cauldron, inhales the essence of spiritual medicine free of illness and disaster, extending life. Indeed, it's a nourishing life technique related to a doctor. Lu Changxing looked at the description, thinking to himself. System, bestow the inheritance. Immediately, with a slight movement of his mental spirit, he used the Cauldron Medical King's Scripture. Instantly, all the relevant content, insights, and everything about the Cauldron Medical King's Scripture, like divine nectar, rapidly poured into Lu Changxing's mind. After a long while, Lu Changxing opened his eyes, revealing a hint of joy. This cultivation technique was not as simple as a doctor's nourishing life technique. It was also highly suitable for spiritual plant masters and alchemists. Because this cultivation technique allowed one to absorb the essence of spiritual medicine and elixir medicines during practice, transforming it into one's own mana. Spiritual plant masters who dealt with spirit plants on a regular basis would find their speed of cultivation greatly enhanced when practicing this cultivation technique. The same was true for alchemists. Many alchemists, because they spent time on alchemy, fell behind in their cultivation realm. If they practiced this cultivation technique, then the process of alchemy would also be equivalent to cultivation. Although it was not as good as normal cultivation practices, it wouldn't fall too far behind. Since there is 99 mystical talisman scripture suitable for talisman masters, and Cauldron Medical King's Scripture for alchemists and spiritual plant masters, could there also be cultivation techniques suitable for artifact refiners, puppeteers, array setters, and so on? Lu Changxing touched his chin and thought to himself. If his family could collect all the series of 100 arts of cultivation techniques, they wouldn't have to worry about cultivation techniques in the future. However, such cultivation techniques represent the foundation of a sect, and assembling them all was not that simple. Lu Changxing shook his head and taught the Cauldron Medical King's Scripture to Li Xingrua and others. He planned to go to the Qingyun sect later and teach the cultivation technique to Zhao Qingqing as well. Chapter 1060. Nangong Yaoyao breaks through mountain shaking fist. Chapter 1060. Chapter 375. Nangong Yaoyao breaks through mountain shaking fist. Jin Kingdom. Five Poisons Cult, Tianzhu Peak. Within the splendid and resplendent palace. Nangong Meili, adorned in a luxurious purple silk dress, her face stunningly enchanting and bewitching, watched the seated girl before her with her captivating phoenix eyes, swirling with seductive charm. The girl appeared to be about 15 or 16 years old, with dense, dark hair that cascaded down her waist and touched the ground. Her beautiful eyes were tightly closed. Her features bore a 7-to-8 resemblance to Nangong Meili. Compared to Nangong Meili, the delicate and stunning features of the girl possessed less of a bewitching allure and more of a fresh, unsophisticated naivety, an otherworldly grace untouched by the mundane world. At that moment, the girl was attempting a foundation establishment, with countless streams of nature's spiritual energy swirling around her. The mist-like spiritual energy made the girl's skin, as smooth and translucent as jade, appear as though it were veiled in an untouchable, sacred glow. After an indeterminate amount of time, the girl's purple dress fluttered as the surrounding spiritual energy dissipated, and a faint rosy light flowed around her. Her long eyelashes quivered slightly as she opened her beautiful eyes, glistening like the azure waves of stars. Mother. Nangong Yaoyao looked joyously at her mother with eyes clear as mountain springs and then threw herself into her embrace. Her face bore a pure and beautiful smile as if to cleanse all the evil spirits in the world. Congratulations, my dear Yaoyao, on your breakthrough in foundation establishment. This is the gift I've prepared for you. Nangong Meili, holding her daughter, her elongated phoenix eyes brimming with maternal love, kissed her daughter's rosy, tender cheeks. Then, with a gentle lift of her slender jade hand, several luxurious brocade boxes appeared before them. Thank you, mother. Nangong Yaoyao, like a little child, affectionately embraced her mother. After a moment of coquettish behavior in her arms, she opened the brocade boxes. With Nangong Meili's introductions, Nangong Yaoyao's face lit up with joy, and she exclaimed in surprise. Mother, now that I've broken through to foundation establishment, can I start taking sect missions outside? Nangong Yaoyao tucked away the items and asked her mother with her petal-like lips slightly pouted. Though she was already 24 years old, she had grown up under the care of her mother and sister Xiaochan, never once stepping out of the Five Poisons cult. Over the years, it was impossible not to be curious about the outside world. But her mother and sister Xiaochan always said the cultivation world was fraught with dangers and malevolence, insisting she must break through foundation establishment before she could venture out for training. Of course you can. Later, you'll have your sister Xiaochan come back and then take you to the marketplace for missions. Nangong Meili, smelling the fragrant and delicate scent of her daughter's body, spoke indulgently. She was reluctant to let her precious daughter venture out. But she understood that a phoenix must bathe in fire to achieve nirvana, and only after the storm comes the rainbow. Foundation establishment she could completely arrange for her daughter. Core formation, however, would require her daughter's own effort. Moreover, even if she could use resources to push her daughter to core formation, it would essentially sever her daughter's chance for a nascent soul. Nangong Yaoyao, her features delicate, her starry eyes sparkling. Though she had never ventured outside, her mother had taught her many ways to deal with people and dangers, and how to address and resolve issues. Thus, she had always wanted to experience this dangerous and vicious cultivation world. Now that Yaoyao has broken through to foundation establishment, I can also make a trip to Jianghu country. Nangong Meili talked with her daughter for a while, instructing her to solidify her cultivation realm, then went up to the high pavilion outside the hall. Her elongated beautiful eyes stared at the purple poisonous fog enveloping them, murmuring to herself. After the completion of Love Gu, she had planned to go to Jianghu country to find Lu Changxing and settle their matters. But as her daughter Nangong Yaoyao was still young, she could not let go. Now that her daughter had broken through to foundation establishment and was starting to venture out, she too could take this opportunity to go out. If I can elevate the true elixir to an immortal golden core, even if I can't break through to nascent soul, I also have the practice to the peak of core formation. Nangong Meili gazed at the golden core charm on her true elixir, recalling the figure of Lu Changxing. Even after more than 20 years, she still remembered his appearance vividly. At this very moment, White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing, because his daughter Lu Lingyi had broken through to the second level of energy refinement, was insistent on learning spells. After teaching her for a few days and getting somewhat frustrated, he thought it best to send her to White Tiger Mountain for Lu Pingan to teach her. After all, the Lu family didn't have a proper body cultivation practice. His son, Lu Pingan, was somewhat of a practitioner, so he had Lu Pingan teach his daughter. Xiaoha, for the next while you will be practicing with your big brother, and when you've learned enough, Daddy will come to fetch you. If you miss Daddy and want to come home, you can also ask your brother Pingon to write to Daddy. Lu Changxing spoke warmly to his daughter. Daddy, don't worry, I will practice hard with Big Pot. Lu Lingyi, her hair tied into 2 buns, patted her little chest adorably and nodded vigorously. Good. Lu Changxing patted his daughter's head and said to Lu Pingon, Pingon, Xiaohe will be in your care for the next while. Dad, don't worry, he'll take good care of Xiaohe. Lu Pingon, taller than Lu Changxing by a bit, grinned. After giving the instructions, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a surge of dense and pure mana enter his Qi Ocean core, knowing that one of his children had broken through to Foundation establishment. Yao Yao, right? Lu Changxing immediately guessed it was his daughter Nangong Yao Yao. Although there were several children in the family at the 9th level energy refinement, it was still some time before they could break through to Foundation establishment. Name, Nangong Yao Yao. Lifespan, 25/279, Talent, 2nd grade spiritual root, flawless heavenly fragrance body, top level spiritual body. Cultivation, Foundation establishment 1st layer, Talent, charm technique compatibility 89%. Indeed. Lu Changxing opened his daughter's system panel, thinking to himself that it was indeed so. Breaking through to Foundation establishment at 25 years old was undeniably fast. Chapter 1061. Nangong Yao Yao breaks through mountain shaking fist. Chapter 1061. Chapter 375. Nangong Yao Yao breaks through mountain shaking fist. Even when placed throughout the entire Jianghu country cultivation realm, he belonged to the top-tier geniuses, a rare breed like phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. However, having a 2nd grade spiritual root, a top-level spiritual body, and a core formation mother, such speed in cultivation was indeed normal. Moreover, in Lu Changxing's view, this was still the speed after making steady progress. After all, breaking through realms was not just about speed. Just like his son Lu Qingxian and his daughter Lu Wangshu. If they continuously took pills and focused entirely on cultivation, they could save a lot of time and strive for Foundation establishment earlier. But Lu Changxing didn't do so. Even after they reached the 9th level of energy refinement, he let them go out and travel, stationed in the marketplace for several years. The more experiences they had, the stronger their mental fortitude became. The greater the desires, the bigger the motivation. Cultivation was not something he could solely support by throwing money as their father. Besides, going out and seeing the struggles at the bottom layer of the cultivation world could also make them cherish their current lives and maintain the drive to move forward. Just as Lu Changxing was preparing to leave White Tiger Mountain, he noticed his son Lu Qingsong chatting intimately with a tall, gentle-looking woman, her brows possessing a hint of heroic spirit. Squinting his eyes, he went to the puppet workshop, where he found his son Lu Xianxia. With a light tap of his finger, a water mirror appeared in front of him, showing the face of a woman. Xianxia, do you know this woman? Lu Changxing asked his son. His divine sense was now comparable to a nascent soul, and because of Lu Miaoyan, his eyes had some disillusioning effects, allowing him to see through disguises and concealment techniques. The moment he saw this woman chatting with his son, he had discerned that her cultivation level was 8th level energy refinement and her appearance was disguised. Although he hadn't visited White Tiger Mountain for quite long, he had a general impression of the energy refinement cultivators in his family and did not recall this person. Lu Xianxia, looking at the woman in the water mirror, spoke, "Father, this woman is named Lu Yen, and she is a talisman master whom Qingsong saved from outside half a year ago. She is now a visiting noble servant for our White Tiger Mountain. However, it seems Qingsong has taken a liking to this lady Lu." Lu Xianxia stated so. Oh. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, squinted his eyes thoughtfully. After asking a few more questions, he called his son Lu Qingsong to come over. "Father." Lu Qingsong, not knowing why Lu Changxing had called him, bowed respectfully. "The visiting noble servant named Lu Yen has disguised her appearance. You need to figure out what exactly the situation is," Lu Changxing said. Upon hearing these words, Lu Qingsong's heart skipped a beat. Then, with a slightly grave voice, he said, "Father, rest assured I will clarify things right away. It doesn't need to be taken too seriously. Perhaps she merely encountered some trouble due to her real identity. Just handle it properly. If you like her, some minor trouble doesn't really matter." Lu Changxing, with his current divine sense condition, could detect his son's heartbeat, emotions and even fluctuations in his mental spirit. Understanding what Lu Xianxia had mentioned, his son Lu Qingsong had developed feelings for this woman named Lu Yan. So for such matters he would not directly judge that someone coming to their home had malignant intentions. He merely reminded his son. "Yes, father, I understand," replied Lu Qingsong in a deep voice, then excused himself to leave. Sigh. Lu Changxing shook his head. This was also why many clan cultivators chose matrimonial alliances within families, since both sides were from clear backgrounds and didn't need to worry about attracting trouble. If uncertain about the other party's background, there was a risk of bringing trouble to the family. Moments later, with his divine sense enveloping the area, Lu Changxing saw his son Lu Qingsong approaching the female cultivator named Lu Yan. Faced with Lu Qingsong's questioning, this woman named Lu Yan trembled, then removed her disguise and confessed openly. She explained that her past experiences had not been fabricated, except she had omitted a certain part. Half a year ago she encountered the young master of the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, who expressed his interest in having her as a concubine. As a loose cultivator, though she was pretty, her talent was mediocre, making foundation establishment challenging. Thus, she was somewhat tempted by the young master of the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber's words. However, she kept her wits about her and learned more about this young master, finding out that he practiced a cultivation technique of harvesting, meaning that becoming his concubine might likely end up as a cultivation cauldron. Hearing this news, she immediately understood and refused him, knowing that being his concubine could potentially reduce her to a cultivation cauldron. Who knew that the person would suddenly become furious and try to attack her? In the face of such a situation, she took the opponent by surprise and relied on an early-year secret treasure burning blood needle to kill them. It was for this reason that her essence blood was greatly depleted, and while escaping she encountered 4 energy-refining robbery cultivators, and then Lu Qingsong saved her. Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows upon hearing this name. Wasn't this the commerce chamber established by the Golden Dragon Ridge Gene family, leading several foundation establishment families? He thought to himself that the person had really run to the right place. This woman's words should be true, you can judge for yourself. As for the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, our family is not afraid. Lu Changxing transmitted his voice to his son. Lu Yan was merely an energy-refining cultivator. Under his divine sense, unless her mental state far surpassed that of an ordinary person, any lie would definitely have flaws. After speaking, Lu Changxing withdrew his divine sense and stopped paying attention to the matter. He stood up to leave White Tiger Mountain, planning to visit the Qingyun sect and teach the Cauldron Medical King's scripture to Zhao Qingqing. Moreover, in the past few days his daughter Lu Xingyue had also broken through to the 9th level energy refinement, and it was a good time to visit. If his daughter had good comprehension, she could also cultivate this Cauldron Medical King's scripture. Behind White Tiger Mountain, Lu Pingon threw a punch that roared like a dragon and created waves of energy that shook the mountain in front of him. Wow, Big Pot, that's amazing, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. Lu Lingyi watched his big brother throw a punch that shook the earth and mountains, his small face turning red with excitement, clapping in admiration. Yes, this is the fist technique I am going to teach you. It's called the mountain shaking fist, meaning one punch can shake a big mountain. Lu Pingon told his younger sister. Their father had sent the sister to him for guidance, and he would surely teach her diligently. Through simple interactions, he knew that complicated maneuvers were too much for his sister to grasp. If so, since complicated techniques were too difficult to understand, it was better to keep it simple and focus on one punch. One punch breaks all techniques. One punch determines the victory or defeat, one punch decides life or death. Once she mastered the first punch, he would teach her the second punch. This fist technique was also a simplification of his own martial path combined with the 100 Refinements treasure body technique. As long as his sister could grasp the essence, she would be able to learn it. Oh, Big Pot, don't worry, I'll practice really hard. Lu Lingyi nodded like a pecking chicken, then clenched her fist and swung it forward with a grunt. Shoo. Though this punch lacked any sophisticated technique, the force in the fist made the air crackle slightly. Lu Pingon knew that his sister must have eaten a lot of heavenly and earthly treasures as a child. Otherwise, how could she have such strength at this age? Come, Xiaohe, follow along with me. Lu Pingon smiled, assumed a proper stance and began practicing with his sister. He had understood from childhood that just as reading a book 100 times reveals its meaning, the same principle applied to martial arts training. Unlike his own brother and sister, his natural talent for martial arts was not much better. The only advantage might be his greater interest in martial arts and a bit more diligence in daily practice. So he believed that as long as his sister practiced more, she could also learn this punch. Suddenly the two of them, one big and one small, began practicing their punches. Just a simple act of swinging their fists. A month later, after visiting Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing at Qingyun's sect and encouraging his children, Lu Changxing left the sect riding a purple flying shuttle. If he wasn't in a rush, he seldom used the starlight plate. Also, on regular visits to Qingyun's sect, he would use the 9 treasures Rui Bone to seal all traces of his cultivation and magical power, so as not to let the nascent soul immortals of Qingyun's sect discern his cultivation level. After all, being a 9th level foundation establishment could easily attract trouble if noticed. Humph, I finally caught you. However, just as Lu Changxing had left Qingyun's sect, Yun Wanshang on Kaiyun Peak let out a cold snort while dressed in luxurious colored palace garments. This time, the other party had disturbed her mind once more, causing her irritation and restlessness. She was determined to make him pay the price. And regarding today's scene, she had imagined it countless times in her heart over the last 6 months, confident that she would not fail. Chapter 1062. Boys need to learn to protect themselves outside. Chapter 1062. Chapter 376. Boys need to learn to protect themselves outside. Under the clear, limitless sky, the azure expanse was as clean as a wash. Lu Changxing, riding a purple flying shuttle, turned into a streak of escape light, shuttling between the clouds and mist. Just at that moment, Lu Changxing. A clear, cold voice echoed in Lu Changxing's ears, tinged with a hint of authority from a superior. Oh? Lu Changxing was startled, not knowing where the voice came from. In the next instant, a breathtakingly beautiful woman wearing a colorful palace dress appeared before him. The woman, around the age of 26 or 27, had delicate features that were indescribably stunning. Her jet black hair was coiled up into a bun, simple yet elegant. It complemented her exquisite face and tall, graceful figure, giving her an air of majestic beauty and noble authority. Master? Seeing the figure before him, Lu Changxing was stunned and instinctively blurted out. He was all too familiar with the woman before him. She was the master he had been with day and night in his soul path dreams. However, Lu Changxing knew that this woman was not his master. Instead, she was a nascent soul sister with whom he had shared a brief fling. What does she want from me? Lu Changxing was filled with surprise and suspicion, not knowing why, after decades, she sought him out. After all, such a situation did not seem like a coincidence. Moreover, he had never told her his name back then, nor had she asked for his name or any information. Lu Changxing did not dare to ponder further and quickly bowed with folded hands. Lu Changxing pays respects to the senior. Although they had shared a night of passion, Lu Changxing did not think that merely because of that she would be conquered or have her heart captured by him. What frightened Lu Changxing the most was that his divine sense was now comparable to that of core formation, yet he could not discern her cultivation level at all. He had not even been aware when she had approached him. This was astonishing. It indicated that her cultivation was unfathomably deep, not just any ordinary nascent soul immortal. She was more formidable than the few nascent soul immortals he had encountered before. Yun Wanshang's beautiful face stiffened upon hearing Lu Changxing refer to her as master. She had simulated this scenario countless times in her mind, but she had never expected Lu Changxing to greet her as master. Yun Wanshang was somewhat dumbfounded, caught off guard, and for a moment she did not know how to respond. Because that master not only reminded her of their time together in the soul path dreams but also made her think of her disciple, Xianxia. If Lu Changxing truly became Xiaoxia's Dao companion, she would also have to call her master. As a master, Yun Wanshang felt emotionally disordered for doing such a thing behind her disciple's back. As she watched the respectful and cautious Lu Changxing in front of her, Yun Wanshang, like a millennium-old iceberg, was noble and cold. Her voice detached, she said, "I need your help with my cultivation." Ah! Lu Changxing was stunned upon hearing this, completely bewildered. Help you with your cultivation, what does that mean? And why did those words sound somewhat familiar? In his soul path dreams, he had used the same reason to assist his master in her cultivation. Could it be? Lu Changxing couldn't help but scrutinize the master before him, feeling somewhat intrigued. After all, the effects of cultivating with this master in the soul path dreams had been extraordinarily significant. However, that look from Lu Changxing made Yun Wanshang's beautiful and noble face, cold as an iceberg, emit an indescribably chilling cold that gripped at the soul. Then she lifted her hand and a rosy light filled the air, immediately plunging Lu Changxing into darkness as his qi, blood, and magical power were all restrained, rendering him immobile. "Senior?" Lu Changxing exclaimed in surprise, profoundly shocked by Yun Wansheng's strength. Granted, he had voluntarily sealed some of his qi, blood, and magical power. But against a typical true pill master he should at least be able to put up a fight, right? Yet when she made her move just now, he had no chance to retaliate. "Don't worry, this cultivation will benefit you as well." The cold, pleasant voice rang in Lu Changxing's ears. Shortly after, Lu Changxing felt two jade-like warm fingers pry open his mouth and insert a fragrant, sweet pill into it. The pill melted upon entering the mouth. What kind of pill is this? Lu Changxing was full of suspicions. Although the other party seemed to have no intent to kill, the situation of being completely at someone's mercy was incredibly unsettling for him. He hadn't felt this way for a long time since he broke through Foundation establishment 49 years ago. Nevertheless, the life substitute talisman in his mind still gave Lu Changxing some sense of security. This talisman was a fourth-order talisman. As long as he did not encounter a move from a nascent soul true lord or something of nascent soul level, it could save his life. But considering that she knew his name and currently bore no ill will, Lu Changxing decided to wait. Life substitute talismans were rare, and even if he fled, the random teleportation would not ensure he got home safely. If the cultivation she mentioned was indeed what he suspected, he would endure it. Moments later, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a burst of heat in his lower abdomen's dantian. The heat spread to his limbs and bones, accelerating the flow of qi and blood throughout his body and slowly stirring restlessness within. Lu Changxing instantly realized this was the effect of the pill just ingested. As a second-tier top-level alchemist and quasi-third-tier body-refining cultivator, Lu Changxing quickly guessed what kind of pill she had given him to swallow. In the cultivation world, pills that could induce such restlessness in a person, disregarding any poison resistance, there was only one kind. "It seems it really is the kind of cultivation I imagined." Lu Changxing breathed a sigh of relief. He wanted to say that such means were unnecessary, and he was willing to cooperate fully. However, reason told him it was best not to provoke her now. Their relationship had not yet progressed that far. After a while, Lu Changxing felt as if he were placed on the ground, and someone was peeling off his clothes one piece at a time. Chapter 1063, Boys Need to Learn to Protect Themselves Outside. Chapter 1063, Chapter 376, Boys Need to Learn to Protect Themselves Outside. My fate-defying robe wouldn't draw attention, would it? At this moment, Lu Changxing, wearing a magical robe, felt a bit nervous and worried. But in the next moment, another question occurred to him. Where were the two of them going to cultivate? Surely they couldn't just find a random spot in the wilderness? If that was the case, it would be too thrilling, right? But now, Lu Changxing's mana and divine sense were both restrained. He was completely unable to survey his surroundings. Moments later, Lu Changxing smelled a fragrance that made his heart sway. As a cultivator who had experienced countless trials and had numerous wives, he recognized it as the fragrance of a woman. This scent caused Lu Changxing's blood to quicken, desires to surge, and his body to gradually become honest. Then Lu Changxing felt a pair of slender arms wrap around his neck, a creamy, jade-like soft body pressing against his skin. This perfect figure seemed identical to that of the master in his dreams. But how many years had it been since he, Mr. Lu, had been so passive? Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing wanted to take the initiative himself. But now he couldn't move at all, only feeling a warm, fragrant, jade-like body slowly straddle down on him. Boys traveling away from home really should take good care of themselves, Lu Changxing sighed in his heart. Who would have thought that after so many years of cultivation, he, now an old ancestor and a father of hundreds of children, would be ridden by someone one day. Indeed, the cultivation world is so cruel. The weak are bullied, the handsome are ridden. However, since resistance was futile, he chose to enjoy it. In a serene underground cavern. Though the cave mansion was quite simple, it had everything necessary. At this moment, the bed was enveloped in curtains, filled with the air of spring. A peerlessly graceful beauty was straddling the waist of a young man. Yun Wanshang was practicing a dual cultivation technique, trying to transfer the spirit-nurturing energy from within Lu Changxing's body into hers, cultivating the Tongyu Phoenix marrow body to enhance the refinement of her true elixir. However, she couldn't sense her spirit-nurturing energy within Lu Changxing. What's going on? Yun Wanshang's face, flushed like the dawn, changed slightly, her eyes becoming serious as she checked Lu Changsheng's condition. Such astonishing mana. Because of her previous nervousness, she had not checked Lu Changsheng's condition. Now, in order to find her spirit-nurturing energy, she immediately saw the mana flowing within Lu Changsheng. It was hard to imagine that this was the mana of a Foundation establishment cultivator. It was not only robust but also possessed an indescribably mysterious aura. She then looked toward Lu Changsheng's Qi Ocean Core. There, within the Qi Ocean Core, she saw a 5-elements Dao platform, a bronze mirror, and a deep blue bead. Although she recognized these items as magical treasures and exotic treasures, she immediately noticed Lu Changsheng's Dao Foundation, a perfect foundation base. And it belonged to the top tier among perfect foundation bases. Even her 2 disciples did not have a Dao foundation as marvelous as Lu Changsheng's. Could this person be a son of the great Dao? Waves upon waves of shock surged in Yun Wansheng's heart. When she first met Lu Changsheng years ago, he was just a minor energy refining cultivator. He didn't seem too special. In these decades, although she had heard many astounding rumors about Lu Changsheng, knowing him to be a person of great destined luck, even possibly possessing some remarkable hidden spiritual body. Still, she never expected Lu Changsheng's Cultivation Foundation to be so incredibly foundation, and for a foundation establishment cultivator to possess 2 magical treasures. At this moment, however, Yun Wansheng could not concern herself with these details. She wanted to know where her spirit-nurturing energy had gone. This spirit-nurturing energy was crucial for her nascent soul opportunity, the very reason for her visit. Lu Changsheng, where is the spirit-nurturing energy inside your body? Yun Wansheng looked down at the perfectly formed, aesthetically pleasing body of Lu Changsheng, like a finely sculpted artwork, and asked urgently. Ah. At that moment, Lu Changsheng, overwhelmed with desire, wanted to ask Yun Wansheng why she had stopped. Hearing her question, he was initially puzzled, not understanding what she meant. But the next moment he realized which spirit-nurturing energy she was referring to. It was the delicate strand of spirit-nurturing energy that had remained inside his body since their last encounter. At this moment, Lu Changsheng also roughly guessed her reason for seeking him. In the Soul Path dreams, his benefactor master was of the Tongyu Phoenix Marrow body. This spiritual body possessed a strand of spirit-nurturing energy. If used for dual cultivation, it would be beneficial for both. It seemed she was seeking this spiritual body now, to use the strand of spirit-nurturing energy to refine her golden core and possibly even to make a breakthrough to nascent soul. The problem was that this strand of spirit-nurturing energy had merged into his Dao Foundation when he had his breakthrough in Foundation establishment. When I was breaking through my Foundation establishment, the strand of spirit-nurturing energy within me merged into my Dao Foundation. Lu Changsheng spoke awkwardly in a hesitant tone. What? It merged into your Dao Foundation. Yun Wansheng was stunned when she heard this. She couldn't believe that her spirit-nurturing energy had merged into Lu Changsheng's Dao Foundation. What was she to do now? Had she been busy for nothing? For a moment, Yun Wansheng felt like crying without tears. Senior, though your spirit-nurturing energy has merged into my Dao Foundation, it also allowed my Dao Foundation to produce a similar energy. Just that this strand of energy was used by me a few days ago and hasn't recovered yet. It will recover after some time, so maybe you could wait, Lu Changsheng said cautiously. Now that this strand of spirit-nurturing energy was gone, he felt that if he didn't provide an explanation, this matter might never end, and he truly might have to use a life-substituting talisman to flee. Chapter 1064. Boys should learn to protect themselves when they're out. Chapter 1064. Chapter 376. Boys should learn to protect themselves when they're out. You can't possibly be deceiving me? Yun Wansheng's voice was icy and authoritative, yet carried a seductive charm. How dare I deceive my senior? In no more than half a month, senior will see the truth for herself. Lu Changsheng's voice came out dry. The current situation was awkward and unbearable, like playing a game of inch-stop, making him extremely uncomfortable. He thought to himself that one day he would definitely make the other party experience this feeling. Yun Wansheng bit her red lip. Everything had started, and then the spirit-nurturing energy was gone. But for such matters she couldn't very well just wait stiffly for half a month. The elixir medicines she had previously administered to Lu Changsheng would likely make it difficult for him to hold out for half a month. Thinking of her own Sun-Moon Samsara technique, Yun Wansheng's voice was cold with a hint of allure. You practice the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. Ah. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing was totally stunned, almost crashing mentally. Regarding the Sun Moon Samsara technique, only he, Xiaoxia, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and Bai Ling were aware. How could she know about the Sun Moon Samsara technique? Wait. This cultivation technique was bestowed upon Shiyu by the Kaiyun True Immortal. So apart from himself and the others, Kaiyun True Immortal also knew. Kaiyun True Immortal. At that moment, it was as though a lightning bolt struck Lu Changxing's mind. He remembered the scene in the Soul Path Dreams, where the core formation girl in the dream was one and the same with Shiyu's master, Kaiyun True Immortal. Back when he went to register at Qingyun's sect, Lady Ming gave him trouble, but Kaiyun True Immortal helped him out. Also, during the visit with Xiaoxi to ask Kaiyun True Immortal for her hand in marriage, she refused to show herself and was hostile, insisting on getting rid of him. Previously, Lu Changxing hadn't thought much of it and only found it strange. Now, piecing everything together, he suddenly realized the core formation girl he was currently dual cultivating with was Shiyu's master, Kaiyun True Immortal? At that moment, Lu Changxing simply didn't know what to say. He could only express his feelings through his actions. His immobilized body felt like it was electrocuted. All his pores dilated and he felt incredibly comfortable. Even the fierce flood dragon seemed to become a bit more honest at this moment. Senior, my mana is currently restricted. I can't practice. Lu Changxing feigned ignorance and spoke with a somewhat dry voice. He could roughly guess why Shed covered his eyes in divine sense. This situation was somewhat embarrassing to discuss. But the more it was like this, the more Lu Changxing wanted to see the ravishing side of the other party, to the point of thinking of a phrase. Real Immortal, you wouldn't want Shiyu to know about our affair either, right? However, under the current circumstances, he still didn't dare to be cheeky. Feeling that he could use his mana again, Lu Changxing immediately practiced the Sun Moon Samsara technique. As his mana was released and the cultivation technique activated, Lu Changxing managed to move slightly. The elixir medicines he had taken earlier felt as if they had merged into his mana, intensifying the restlessness within him. Especially since he realized the person he was intimately connected with was Shiyu's master, Lu Changxing found it even harder to control himself. Humming. Within the cave, the air was filled with the aura of spring, while an image of the sun and moon appeared over Lu Changxing and Yun Wansheng's heads. Time slowly passed by. Lu Changxing dejectedly practiced the Sun Moon Samsara technique over and over again. Several days later, Lu Changxing thought it was over. But after a while, the hot and soft body against his chest took a pause and then fed him another pill. Lu Changxing wanted to say, Master, there really is no need for this. I'm willing to cooperate. Moreover, if he could take the initiative, the effects might even be doubled. Even though he knew the other person was Kaiyun True Immortal and meant him no harm, he still didn't dare to be cheeky now. He was terrified of provoking her. Vengeance of a gentleman can wait 10 years. Lu Changxing muttered in his heart, marking today's humiliation. He swore to repay it 10-fold, 100-fold in the future. The sun and moon continued their cycle, filling the cave mansion with a hazy spring atmosphere, both of their bodies and minds sinking deeper and deeper. Chapter 1065. Third Stage Body Refinement, Dragon-like Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1065. Chapter 377. Third Stage Body Refinement, Dragon-like Commerce Chamber Attacks. In the quiet darkness of the secret chamber, Lu Changxing slowly opened his eyes. His robes were neat and tidy with no one else nearby. The previous events felt like a dream. But Lu Changxing was very clear that everything he had experienced these past few days wasn't a dream, but truly existed. Is it over just like that? Don't we still need the yin-yang energies? Lu Changxing could feel the mana flowing inside his body and a sense of loss and disappointment unknowingly crept into his heart. If you want to cultivate, there are spiritual medicines and elixir medicines inside the storage bag next to you. At this moment, a cold yet pleasant voice, intermixed with a hint of authority and indifference from a superior, rang out. Oh? Lu Changxing was startled by these words and saw an ordinary-looking storage bag placed next to the pillow. He picked up the storage bag and glanced inside. Inside were heavenly and earthly treasures that nourished the physical body, and the essence of virility, along with precious elixir medicines. Lu Changxing looked at these spiritual medicines and elixir medicines, his face stiffening. Although such dual cultivation practices had brought him nothing but benefits, to think that such an act would reduce Lu someone to this? Shame. Blatant shame. Sooner or later, he, Lu someone, would let her know that his younger brother was unmatched in this world. However, A true man is flexible and endures what others cannot. Lu Changxing calmly took out a stock of spiritual medicine from the storage bag and consumed it. In a few days they had to continue dual cultivation, and it was indeed necessary to replenish his body. Moreover, it was a gift from an elder that couldn't be declined. Considering the other party as his elder, as his master, was there a problem in giving him a generous reward for his hard work? This wasn't some sordid affair with compensation afterward. In another secret chamber within the cave, the spiritual eye spring, like a bathtub, was filled with a misty spiritual energy. Yun Wansheng's luscious black hair fell like a waterfall as her flawless body of a fairy submerged in this rare and precious spiritual spring, quietly feeling her own condition. Although she had not gained the ability to cultivate with spirit-nurturing energy and refine her true elixir this time, by using the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, she had finally mastered the technique known as the Virgin Samsara. The only problem was that Lu Changsheng's cultivation level was too low. Even after many days of combining yin and yang, it hadn't allowed her Virgin Samsara to advance further. To progress further in the Virgin Samsara, she needed a gradual accumulation of yin and yang interactions, and the cyclical rotation of the sun and moon. However, such things only had the distinction of either never happening or happening countless times. After taking this first step, Yun Wansheng felt much more at ease with Lu Changxing. After all, she was doing this for the great Tao. How could a little romantic affection compare to solidifying her nascent soul? And through these days of writing, her thoughts had become much clearer. I wonder if what he said is true. Yun Wansheng thought of what Lu Changxing had said before, indicating that his Tao foundation could produce an aura similar to that of spirit-nurturing energy. If there really was a similar effect, and her half-step golden core advanced to a high-quality golden core, and then a first-grade golden core, then the nascent soul would no longer be far-fetched, and she would have the prospect of becoming the second nascent soul true lord in Jianghu country. Half a month. Yun Wansheng glanced at Lu Changxing in the neighboring room and then closed her beautiful eyes again, submerging her flawless body in the spiritual eye spring. Yin-yang energies have recovered, should I give a heads up? That day Lu Changxing saw that the yin-yang energies in his Tao foundation had recovered and thought about whether to remind his master. But considering she obviously couldn't let go, and even had to keep hold of her cold tone during their deeply intimate interactions, he decided not to say anything. In the end she would come over on her own. Moreover, if he actively reminded her, wouldn't that make it seem like he was enjoying it, eagerly awaiting her arrival? Thus time passed, not knowing how much had elapsed. Lu Changxing heard some movement and opened his eyes to look. However, before he could see clearly, darkness enveloped him, and he was unable to move. Damn it, not again. Lu Changxing was speechless in his mind. He was willing to cooperate, so why must it be like this? In no time Lu Changxing felt himself being stripped naked. Then a sweet and fragrant elixir pill entered his mouth. With the delightful scent and soft, enchanting body against him, Lu Changxing's blood began to surge, his desire for battle rising. After a long while, Lu Changxing felt someone riding on top of him. Yun Wansheng's beautiful face flushed like the dawn, her elegant figure straddling above Lu Changxing's midsection. As the yin-yang energies entered her body, she could immediately sense the aura of her spirit-nurturing energy. This strand of yin-yang energies twirled with her true elixir, gradually adding a glint of golden patterns to her true elixir embellished with golden core charm. This, Yun Wansheng slightly tilted her head back, her dazed beautiful eyes revealing a surprised hue. She lowered her gaze slightly towards Lu Changxing in front of her. Unexpectedly, just like he described, his Tao foundation could produce an aura similar to her spirit-nurturing energy. Within this aura, in addition to her spirit-nurturing energy, she also felt a yin-yang source. Back then, Xiu had asked me to craft a golden crow elixir. Yun Wansheng recalled that Xiao Xiu had once asked her to craft a golden crow elixir as a token of gratitude, expressing her intention to help Lu Changxing forge a Sun-Moon Tao foundation. It seemed now that due to some reason, Lu Changxing had not forged a Sun-Moon Tao foundation. Instead, he had forged this Supreme Tao foundation, which was even more astonishing than the Sun-Moon Tao foundation. Thinking of this strand of yin-yang energies containing the origin source of disciple Xiao Xiu, Yun Wansheng's heart trembled, inexplicably moved. Lu Changxing naturally didn't know what Yun Wansheng was thinking. But at this moment, because everything before him was pitch black and he had no divine sense, his physical body was extremely sensitive to touch. Chapter 1066. Third Order Body Refining Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1066. Chapter 377. Third Order Body Refining, Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Peering cautiously, he distinctly sensed the firm tension in the other's jade-like body. This yin-yang energy shouldn't cause any trouble, right? Lu Changxing hesitated in his heart. He knew full well how astonishing the effects of his yin-yang energies were. For Foundation Establishment and nascent soul cultivators, they were considered the most top-tier supreme spiritual objects. If he were to publicize this effect, many nascent soul female cultivators would immediately come knocking with hidden agendas. Now that he had granted Yun Wanshang the use of these yin-yang energies, it harbored some risks. But considering that the other party bore no ill intentions towards him and that he owed her the yin-yang energies, Lu Changxing chose to trust her. Commenced the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. Moments later, Lu Changxing heard Yun Wanshang's suppressed charming yet icy tone. Although he wanted to protest vocally, Lu Changxing, despite his reluctance, humbly circulated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. This session of dual cultivation lasted 3 days and nights. Although Lu Changxing had sealed part of his qi, blood, and magical power, this level of dual cultivation still had no slight impact on him. In fact, when he awoke, he felt his mana had advanced further in potency. However, upon waking up to see, just as before, no one around, his clothes neat, and a storage bag lying next to him, Lu Changxing sighed. What does this mean? Although he rather enjoyed it and was happy in it, being passive the entire time really wasn't fun. At least let himself take initiative a couple of times. Lu Changxing remained silent for a long time, then with an innocent and pitiful look he said, "Senior, I wonder how long you still need to cultivate?" Although he didn't mind helping the other cultivate, he couldn't be without any resistance, right? That would make him seem careless and without any dignity. 3 months. After a pause, Yun Wanshang's cool and regal voice resonated. Although 3 months was not enough to advance a true elixir to a golden core, it was enough for her virgin samsara technique to progress further. Moreover, she wasn't confining Lu Changxing here to aid her cultivation. It was merely borrowing him to cultivate for a period. Hearing this, Lu Changxing did not ask further. He took a spiritual medicine from the storage bag to replenish his vital energy. Dual cultivation on other aspects didn't have an impact, but such frequent dual cultivation really put a strain on his vital energy recovery. Thus 3 months passed. Lu Changxing was either recovering or engaging in dual cultivation. His entire being felt somewhat numb. It wasn't that the dual cultivation was uninteresting. The identity, status, and appearance of the other party still thrilled him considerably. But the problem was 3 whole months. To start by covering his eyes and divine sense, then feeding him an elixir pill. This process could only be endured passively. What fun was there in this? Damn it, what goes around comes around. Don't underestimate the young for being poor. One day he, Mr. Lu, would blindfold her eyes and gag her mouth, and then... This thought had barely arisen when Lu Changxing felt a surge of thrill. Then he quickly reined in his thoughts, lest Yun Wanshang notice. After all, her cultivation was profound and inscrutable. Her divine sense might be able to capture his emotions and thoughts. If she knew he harbored such thoughts, he'd be done for. When it's time to cultivate, he'll contact you through this jade slip. Also, I hope this matter remains secret. Yun Wanshang's voice was clear, noble, calm, and indifferent. Lu Changxing, looking at the storage bag and jade slip in front of him, clearly understood her words. He knew this cultivation had not ended. She didn't want Xianxia to know about this. Don't worry, Senior, I absolutely won't mention this matter to anyone, Lu Changxing said somewhat weakly. The first time they'd met years ago they'd exchanged similar words. But after these 3+ months of dual cultivation, their interactions had gained a certain mundanity. That's good to know. I won't take advantage of you. Should you encounter any trouble or need a core formation spiritual object, you can find me, Yun Wanshang continued. Soon after, Lu Changxing sensed a divine rainbow leaving the cave. Lu Changxing watched Yun Wanshang disappear, his mouth twitching. Have any trouble or need a core formation spiritual object, and come to find her? What did that mean? Was he to be one to live off others? He, Mr. Lu, was upright and self-reliant, always striving on his own effort. How could he be such a person? Phew. Lu Changxing took a deep breath, tried not to overthink it, and left the cave. He glanced around to ascertain his location and then headed back toward Bihu Lake Mountain. 3 days later, Lu Changxing returned home. Although he had not notified anyone of this trip and had been gone for so long, his family simply showed concern without delving deeper. After briefly inquiring about the current home situation, he went to the Changxing Hall. He placed his hands in front of his chest, a 9-colored aurora flowing, releasing his sealed qi, blood, and magical power. Boom! In an instant, terrifying qi, blood, and magical power surged tumultuously, swelling ferociously. Lu Changxing realized that his mana was nearing the peak of foundation establishment. And his physical Bodish qi and blood were sufficient to break through to the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Third Order Body Refining. This day I have waited long. Lu Changsheng's lips curled upwards, and he immediately circulated his cultivation technique, starting to break through to the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. This 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was just a supplementary body refining technique, not his main path of body cultivation. Thus, advancing through realms did not require a third-order spirit vein. Reaching the corresponding level of physical body was sufficient. Rumble. In an instant, endless treasure light erupted and flowed from Lu Changsheng's flesh. A torrential and surging power galloped and rumbled through his limbs and bones, like a river bursting its dams. But in a moment Lu Changxing realized an issue. Chapter 1067, Third Order Body Refining, Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1067, Chapter 377, Third Order Body Refining, Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. His own Changxing Hall was constructed from ordinary materials. Though it was reinforced by formations, now that he was attempting a breakthrough to the Third Order Body Refining, it wouldn't just turn his cave mansion inside out. It would also severely affect those in the hall, such as Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Bai Ling, and others. Mount Sumeru, Lu Changxing called out. Yes, master. Mount Sumeru, who was on standby 24 hours a day, immediately responded, his voice ethereal and distant. A terrifying power from cave heaven enveloped Lu Changxing, forming an invisible domain around him. Seeing this, Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction and continued to push through with all his might to reach the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Thud, thud, thud. As his blood surged violently throughout his body and his flesh shone with a treasured light, Lu Changxing's heart began to beat faster. Like the drumming of gods and demons, it pounded audibly, setting off waves of a terrifying aura around him. After a long while, Lu Changxing's face showed a touch of pain. His entire being seemed to be crushed into dust and particles. Every drop of his blood, every piece of his flesh, was undergoing a process of being tempered 1,000 times, 100 times over. The 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, Third Order Body Refining, his physical body could now compare to magical treasures. This was the transformation akin to a metamorphosis, an advancement of life. Boom, 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 clang, clang, clang. The roaring within Lu Changxing's body was incessant, like a primeval volcano erupting. In the unknown, it seemed as if countless divine smiths were tempering his blood and bones, their clanging resonant. This process was extremely painful. Even though Lu Changxing was well prepared, he was in so much pain that he felt on the verge of life and death, as though he was wavering between the two states. Yet, in this process of tempering, every inch of his skin, every bit of his flesh, seemed to be cast from immortal gold, dazzling and brilliant, with divine light shining in all directions. At the same time, a spirit boat approached the outskirts of White Tiger Mountain. There were a total of 3 people on board, an elder, a robust man, and a woman. The leader, an elder in a purple brocade robe, shouted toward White Tiger Mountain, "Where is the mountain lord of White Tiger Mountain? Who are you and what brings you to White Tiger Mountain?" Soon after, Lu Qingsong, accompanied by the 9 Netherhound, arrived at the mountain gate, looking at the 3 people on the spirit boat, the purple-robed elder, and said in a deep voice, "I am Tao Jizhong, an elder of the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. A year ago, our young master was murdered by a demoness. According to our investigation, this woman is hiding in White Tiger Mountain. Please, Lu Mountain Lord, hand over this demoness promptly." The purple-robed elder stood tall with his hands behind his back, looking down at Lu Qingsong as he spoke. The air was filled with the Foundation Establishment's 6th layer magic aura of his spiritual pressure. What demoness? The Mountain Lord knows nothing of this. You from Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, are you using this as an excuse to provoke trouble at White Tiger Mountain? Lu Qingsong spoke calmly. He was aware that the person the other party was referring to was his Dao companion, Lu Yan. After Lu Yan's confession, he had investigated the information and understood the situation as she had described. This woman goes by the name Lu Yan, and she is currently serving as a visiting noble servant at your White Tiger Mountain. We, the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, have no grudge against your Bihu Mountain, and we do not wish to harm the good relations. It would be best for you to hand over the demoness now, to prevent any damage to our amicable relations. Tao Jizhong continued sternly. He had come prepared with knowledge of the situation and had also learned that the demoness who killed his chamber's young master had a significant relationship with Lu Qingsong. Therefore his visit was also meant to test White Tiger Mountain. After all, it was shocking that years ago White Tiger Mountain had somehow killed a Foundation establishment cultivator. Lu Yen. Lu Qingsong's eyes narrowed upon hearing this, and he immediately knew that they had come prepared, making the situation difficult to amicably settle. Indeed, we have such a visiting noble servant at White Tiger Mountain. But as for what your Dragon Light Commerce Chamber claims, I have never heard of it. Besides, White Tiger Mountain operates by rules. As long as one's background is clean and they are neither robber cultivators nor heretic cultivators, anyone who comes to White Tiger Mountain receives our protection, and all past grievances are dissolved. Therefore, whether this person exists or not, the matter is unrelated to White Tiger Mountain. Elder Tao, please return to where you came from. Lu Qingsong, though just an energy-refining cultivator, stood unyielding before Tao Jizhong, a Foundation establishment cultivator. After all, his father had previously indicated that the family didn't fear the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Not long ago when he returned to Bihu Mountain, Aunt Zishao, having heard of the matter, had outrightly expressed that White Tiger Mountain, being mainly based at Golden Dragon Ridge, should not fear the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, even to the point of initiating a challenge. So you're saying White Tiger Mountain is looking to antagonize the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber? Tao Jizhong said coldly. At Bihu Mountain we have always believed in harmony bringing wealth. We never offend others easily, nor do we fear them. If the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber is looking for trouble, we at Bihu Mountain are not afraid. Lu Qingsong spoke with a cold voice. Having witnessed his elder brother kill a Foundation establishment cultivator with a single arrow, he truly did not fear what the other could do. Very well, what courage. Indeed, what immense courage. Tao Jizhong looked at White Tiger Mountain and scoffed. It seems that you really intend to cross paths with the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Instantly, a Foundation establishment power magic aura emanated from the three people on the spirit boat. Though they were only three Foundation establishment cultivators, they presented a formidable threat to White Tiger Mountain, which only had a second-order spiritual beast as its protector. Just then, from White Tiger Mountain, a tall and stalwart young man with a dignified face, carrying a girl about 13 or 14 years old on his shoulder, strode forward. Big brother. Seeing Lu Pingan approaching, Lu Qingsong immediately felt a sense of backbone. Lu Pingan set down Lu Lingyi and addressed the three outside. Now that Lu Yen has become a visiting noble servant of White Tiger Mountain, it would not be right to hand her over merely on your say-so. How would others view White Tiger Mountain afterwards? How about this, you and I shall duel. If you Taoist should win, I will hand over Lu Yen. But if I win, we shall drop this matter. What do you say? Lu Pingan had roughly overheard the situation and also knew about Lu Yan's circumstance. Not to mention Lu Yan's relationship with his younger brother. Even without that connection they could not simply hand her over. After all, she was serving as a visiting noble servant seeking sanctuary in White Tiger Mountain. If a family couldn't offer protection, then inviting further visiting noble servants to their door would be difficult. With three people blocking the way, they needed to offer a solution. To strike outright seemed unreasonable, so it might be better to have a contest of strength. Such a method was common in both the secular world and the cultivation world for resolving disputes. Who are you? On the spirit boat outside White Tiger Mountain, Tao Jizhong scrutinized Lu Pingan and asked. Bihu Mountain, Lu Pingan. Chapter 1068. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Chapter 1068, Chapter 378. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. By Lake Mountain, Lu Pingan? Tao Jizhong and his two companions had never heard this name before. At present, aside from Lu Changxing, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Miaoyun, only individuals like Lu Yun and Lu Xinji from the Lu family were known due to managing family affairs. Someone like Lu Pingan, who had always been inconspicuous and never sought the spotlight, was not well known. Of course, it was also because Lu Changxing had too many children for anyone to keep up with. Fine, since that's the case, let it be as you say. Tao Jizhong didn't hesitate much. He took a step forward, tread upon the void and called out towards Lu Pingan. His purpose for coming here was not only due to Lu Yan's matter but also to probe the situation at White Tiger Mountain. Now that Lu Pingan had come forward, it made him realize that the opponent was probably a trump card arranged by Lu Changxing to preside over White Tiger Mountain. Even though he didn't understand where the other's confidence came from to make such a statement, he was confident in his own strength. Big brother, be careful. Lu Qingsong, hearing his older brother's words, remained silent. The cultivation world had always adhered to the law of the jungle, where talking about evidence was laughable. The other party had come entirely because they thought White Tiger Mountain was without a guardian. If Lu Yan were on by Lake Mountain, how could they dare be so brazen as to demand someone be handed over? The only thing he felt was amiss was that his big brother was too lenient. Even after winning, he actually didn't make these people pay a price. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked towards the three outsiders, appearing indifferent. MHM. Lu Pingan smiled and patted his younger brother's shoulder. Black dragon power circulated within him. Instantly, his tall and burly body was armored in elegantly lined, chillingly shimmering silver armor, adding an impressive and domineering aura of valor. Wow! Lu Lingyi, standing beside him, exclaimed in amazement at the sight of her big brother's armor. Big brother, that looks good. Knowing that her big brother was about to fight, she clenched her small fists and said in her childish voice, "Big brother, you can do it." "All right." Lu Pingan fondly ruffled his younger sister's head and answered with a warm smile. The other cultivators of White Tiger Mountain, upon seeing Lu Pingan, showed surprise and wonder. They hadn't expected the usually low-profile eldest son to be a foundation establishment cultivator. He has hidden his abilities well. By Lake Mountain actually has a foundation-building great cultivator. No wonder the Lu ancestor is reassured enough to entrust White Tiger Mountain to Lu Qingsong, an energy-refining cultivator, because they have this eldest son as their foundation. Could it be that when the robber cultivator attacked years ago, it was the eldest son who took action? The visiting noble servants and cultivators from the houses on White Tiger Mountain saw Lu Pingan adorned in silver armor, tall and commanding, and felt shocked. Now by Lake Mountain already possessed Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Zhao Qingqing, and Lu Miaoyun, 5 foundation-building great cultivators. And now, the eldest son at home had also broken through to foundation establishment. Such strength was indeed astonishing. Even when viewed across the entire Qingyun region, it was not to be underestimated. Moreover, now that a problem arose, this eldest son had come forward. Who knew if by Lake Mountain still had other hidden strengths? Taoist friend, please? Lu Pingan stepped forth from White Tiger Mountain, stood upright in midair facing Tao Jizhong, his spine straight as a mountain. Ayo! At this moment, the 9 Netherhound looked at the 3 outsiders, its massive body emanating a violent aura, and with a roar, it came to the side of Lu Pingan, snow-white teeth gleaming with a chilling luster. Among the entire Lu family, Lu Pingan had the best relationship with the 9 Netherhound. The two grew up together, from Qingzhou Mountain to Rui Prefecture, and then to Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain, often practicing together. Seeing that Lu Pingan was facing 3 opponents alone, the 9 Netherhound volunteered to protect its master. So this is your confidence? Tao Jizhong glanced at the fearsome 9 Netherhound, his expression slightly tense, believing that the opponent wanted to take him on with both man and beast at once. Over the years, the 9 Netherhound's presence on White Tiger Mountain had gained considerable fame. Everyone knew that this spiritual beast's strength was not inferior to a normal mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator. You and I shall fight alone, Xiao He will not take part. Lu Pingan shook his head lightly and gestured to the 9 Netherhound to step back. Very well. Tao Jizhong's eyes narrowed slightly, he spoke no further, and summoned a purple-red flying dagger, which he sent cutting through the air towards Lu Pingan to test his strength. He wanted to see where Lu Pingan, at the initial stage of foundation establishment, got the confidence to challenge him. Clang! Lu Pingan extended his right arm, his hand mimicked a grip, and a black, dark-as-ink black dragon halberd appeared in his hand, which he slashed forward. The heavyweight presence almost made the void collapse, deflecting the purple-red flying dagger away. A body-refining cultivator. Tao Jizhong immediately grasped where Lu Pingan's confidence arose from. Although he was only at the initial stage of foundation establishment, his physical conditioning was noteworthy. Moreover, the black halberd in his hands was extraordinary, not your run-of-the-mill spiritual artifact. No wonder you dared to challenge this old man to fight technique. Indeed, you possess some strength. With that in mind, I shall not hold back. Tao Jizhong let out a long howl, and before him, 5 identical flying daggers appeared, tearing through the air and converging on Lu Pingan from different directions. Lu Pingan's black dragon halberd was as black as ink, contrasting starkly with his silver armor. As the great halberd swung in his hands, a powerful and domineering onslaught emerged, exuding such fearsome power that it amplified his already formidable presence. Clang, clang, clang. The black dragon halberd roared like a flood dragon, filled with a fearful surge akin to the ocean's depths, repelling the 6 flying daggers that had been upon him. This? Tao Jizhong's expression tightened, surprised that Lu Pingan's body refinement strength was so extraordinary that he easily resolved his offensive attack. The 2 Foundation establishment cultivators accompanying him were equally astonished. Others might not be aware of Tao Jizhong's strength, but they knew it all too well. Chapter 1069. Victory, Eldest Son of the Lu Family. Chapter 1069. Chapter 378. Victory, Eldest Son of the Lu Family. Immersed in the middle stage of Foundation establishment for a long time, the 6 purple flying daggers had been dyed with the blood of many Foundation establishment cultivators. Yet now, they unexpectedly couldn't easily take down this junior at the initial stage of Foundation establishment. Big brother, why be polite with him? Just cut him down directly. What's the point of trying to reason with him like this? Lu Qingsong looked at the silhouette of his eldest brother's back, secretly pondering in his heart. Although he had previously seen Lu Pingan shoot and kill a Foundation establishment cultivator with an arrow, he knew his big brother's strength was no weaker than his opponent's. But seeing his big brother as a body-refining cultivator, not seizing the initiative and even letting the opponent strike first, he couldn't help shaking his head internally. Just then Lu Pingan took the initiative to attack. He thrust forward with the black dragon halberd in his hand, and the pitch-black halberd blade tore through the void, chilling to the bone. Clang clang clang. Tao Jizhong hastily performed a gesture incantation with both hands, directing the 6 flying daggers to form an intricate formation and strike at Lu Pingan, countering the onslaught. Meanwhile, a bronze mirror appeared in his hand, purple arcs surged within, casting their glow toward Lu Pingan. Unfazed by the assault, Lu Pingan's silver armor shone brilliantly. He continuously swung the black dragon halberd, stepping forward through the void with large strides. Boom boom boom. Each sweep of the great halberd, each step in the silver battle boots seemed to thunder through the void with a deafening rumble. It was as if he wasn't stepping through space but on a giant drum, making onlookers tremble in fear. Damn it. Seeing Lu Pingan drawing nearer, Tao Jizhong's face grew unsightly, aware that he had encountered a tough challenge. Purple lightning fire blade. He let out a long howl, his hands weaving signs as the 6 purple-red flying daggers transformed into a gigantic purple-red blade. Crackle. The blade, shrouded in a layer of ominous dark red aura and jumping with purple arcs, launched an attack at Lu Pingan. Wind and thunder slash. Facing this strike, Lu Pingan saw threads of wind and lightning wrap around his black dragon halberd, emanating a terrifying aura. Then, like a flood dragon arising, he slashed the halberd forward, with wind and thunder rolling tumultuously. Bang bang bang. The great halberd and the giant blade collided, sparks flying, thunderbolts weaving, dazzling and blinding, sending a powerful current through the air that made everyone's hair stand on end. Immediately after, the purple lightning fire blade quivered with a buzz, its electrified aura dimming and dissipating, returning to the form of 6 purple-red flying daggers, which were repelled backwards. Boom. Confronting the aftereffects of the black dragon halberd's force, Tao Jizhong hurriedly used the bronze mirror to block. However, caught off guard, he was utterly incapable of defending and was sent flying, spitting up blood. A nearby Foundation establishment cultivator quickly soared into the sky, catching Tao Jizhong with mana, and spoke to Lu Pingan with a wary expression. Daoist friend, we admit defeat, we will leave now. Do you wish to fight again? Lu Pingan looked toward Tao Jizhong and spoke out. Daoist friend is exceptionally strong. I concede. As you said, let this matter rest, Tao Jizhong said, his face pale and weak. As a well-known Foundation establishment cultivator who had readily lost to a junior at the initial stage of Foundation establishment, he felt his honor was tarnished. But from their brief encounter, he had realized the extent of Lu Pingan's strength. The strength of body cultivation combined with 2 top-grade spiritual artifacts made for an invincible frontal assault. Unless he had avoided direct confrontation with the opponent from the start, continuing to exhaust and entangle, then perhaps there was a chance to win. But as a peak mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator facing a junior at the initial stage, even if he did win, it would be embarrassing. However, to have gleaned such a piece of news is already enough, Tao Jizhong consoled himself. Your magnanimity is appreciated. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan sheathed the black dragon halberd and bowed with a fist. Shoo, he won just like that. So the eldest son's strength is so formidable. By Lake Mountain, Lu Pingan. It's a good thing we haven't dared to be disloyal these years. The cultivators from White Tiger Mountain watched this scene in shock, disbelieving as they looked at Lu Pingan. Especially the cultivators from the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, Ning family, and Mo family from earlier years. They hadn't expected Lu Changxing to hide so deep. He had even stationed such a son in White Tiger Mountain. If any of them harbored ill intentions wanting to make a move against White Tiger Mountain, they would probably face a great downfall. Seventh brother, keep an eye on things here. Just then, as Lu Qingsong saw the situation outside, he immediately handed the array plate to Lu Xianxia, clenched the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hand, and flew out of White Tiger Mountain. Approaching Tao Jizhong and his departing companions, his expression indifferent, he said, "Is Elder Tao planning to leave just like this?" Huh. Everyone looked at Lu Qingsong, unaware of what he intended to do. Even Lu Pingan was somewhat puzzled as he looked at his younger brother. Chapter 1070. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Chapter 1070. Chapter 378. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. As soon as these words were spoken, not only did Tao Jizhong and the other two change their expressions, but even the people from White Tiger Mountain looked at each other in disbelief. No one expected their mountain master to be so overbearing. A mere chi refining cultivator demanding an explanation from 3 foundation establishment cultivators. Xianyu Xiao Xiao. Seeing the situation, Lu Xianxia immediately activated the mountain protection array and instructed his son and the family guard squad to prepare. Besides having Lu Pingan stationed at White Tiger Mountain, Lu Xianxia also possessed 2 second-rank puppets and a guard squad. This guard squad was each equipped with a first-order top-grade puppet, making their combat strength considerable. An explanation? What sort of explanation does Mountain Lord Lu want? Tao Jizhong was instantly enraged, his face darkening as he suppressed the fury in his heart. If Lu Pingan had spoken to him, he wouldn't have been so angry. But a mere chi refining cultivator dared to speak to him like this. Sever an arm and well consider the matter settled. Lu Qingsong said with a chilling expression. You little brat, courting death. Tao Jizhong immediately flew into a rage, foundation establishment spiritual pressure surging as he prepared to attack Lu Qingsong. It wasn't just him. The 2 foundation establishment cultivators beside him also had their foundation establishment power ready to strike. Umph. Lu Pingan snorted coldly, standing tall in front of his brother, holding the black dragon halberd and clad in silver armor, looking at the 3 men. Although he didn't want to escalate the situation at this point, he couldn't just stand by and watch. Boom. The White Tiger Mountain array surged, like a fierce tiger enthroned, overlooking the 3 men. What, you want to make a move? This is White Tiger Mountain territory. Since you dare to cause trouble here, you must be prepared for the consequences. If you don't give White Tiger Mountain an explanation today, I will report this matter to my father and demand an explanation from your Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. By then, severing an arm will be the least of your worries. Lu Qingsong infused spiritual power into the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hand, releasing its aura, and said coldly, "Roar." Not far away, the 9 netherhounds stared at the 3 men, its fangs chilling, letting out a low growl that struck fear into their hearts. The 3 of them looked at the situation grimly. They hadn't expected such a small matter today to make them so passive. If it weren't for Lu Pingan, a mere chi refining cultivator like Lu Qingsong wouldn't dare speak to them this way, and they'd just slap him away. But the current situation left them in a difficult position. These spirit stones will serve as an apology. Finally, one of the foundation establishment cultivators took a deep breath, took out a storage bag and tossed it to Lu Qingsong. Not enough. Lu Qingsong took the storage bag, didn't even glance at it, and stated flatly. In the past, A Foundation establishment robber cultivator caused trouble at White Tiger Mountain and ended up a corpse for 3 months. Today I'm letting you sever an arm, it's already giving face to Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Although my brothers and I can't keep all 3 of you here, we can certainly keep 1 or 2. Lu Qingsong pushed the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hands to the limit, ready to activate at any moment. For a moment the 3 of them were stuck. Alright, Mountain Lord Lu Changxing has truly found successors. Today I admit defeat. Tao Jizhong looked at Lu Pingan and Lu Qingsong with a cold voice. He directly brought out a flying dagger, severed one of his own arms, blood spraying, his face pale, his spirit weak and depleted. Get lost. Lu Qingsong snorted coldly upon witnessing this. If he were confident enough and not worried about overdoing it, he might have tried to keep all 3 of them at White Tiger Mountain. The 3 of them said nothing more, quickly piloting the spirit boat to leave White Tiger Mountain territory. Now that Tao Jizhong had severed his arm with great expense, there might still be a way to reattach it, so they needed to rush back. Big brother, thank you for your hard work. Lu Qingsong exhaled deeply, addressing Lu Pingan. In the previous situation, it would be a lie to say he wasn't nervous. It's nothing. Lu Pingan shook his head, saying, in the future when facing these Foundation establishment cultivators, be more careful, don't appear before them so boldly. Although Lu Qingsong had a talisman treasure, if the other party employed lethal moves, Lu Qingsong might not have had time to use it. Haha, I dare do so because you were here, big brother? Lu Qingsong chuckled lightly, answering candidly. Soon the 2 brothers and the beast returned to White Tiger Mountain. At this moment, all the cultivators present looked at Lu Pingan and Lu Qingsong with a newfound respect in their eyes. Especially facing Lu Pingan, the Foundation establishment great cultivator. Brother Song. Lu Yen looked at Lu Qingsong, somewhat ashamed, knowing that today's events had arisen because of her. It's alright. Lu Qingsong replied softly. Big Pot, I also want to practice this. Lu Lingyi ran to her big brother's side, looking at the taller black dragon halberd with envy. Alright, once you master the fist technique, big brother will teach you. Lu Pingan replied with a smile. Compared to the halberd technique, he preferred using his fists. But his father, Lu Changxing, had crafted a whole set of spiritual artifacts for him, indicating he should use the halberd and the golden bow usually. He didn't linger there for long and took his sister Lu Lingyi back to the hills to continue teaching her fist practice. Not long after, the news of White Tiger Mountain spread out. The surrounding family forces were shocked, and countless people learned about by Lake Mountain, along with Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingan. Foundation Establishment Initial Stage defeated Foundation Establishment Mid-Stage. How is this possible? This Lu Pingan dual cultivates in body, having his father Lu Changsheng's given magic artifact, with astonishing combat power. I've heard of Tao Jizhong, known as Zi Luodao, an old Foundation Establishment cultivator, was actually defeated by a junior, forced to sever his own arm. In the past, Master Lu Changxing of Bai Lake Mountain, shortly after breaking through Foundation Establishment, killed 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Yu family alone, establishing Bai Lake Mountain, and today his son actually defeats a seasoned cultivator in the initial stage of Foundation Establishment. Chapter 1071. Victory, Lu Family Eldest Son. _4 Chapter 1071. Chapter 378. Victory, Lu Family Eldest Son. _4. The rise of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain seems unstoppable. Rumors had it that there was no Foundation Establishment cultivator stationed at White Tiger Mountain. I didn't expect them to hide it so deep. It seems that the nearby Golden Dragon Ridge can't sit still anymore. Numerous cultivators discussed the news. Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family. Lu Pingan, the eldest son of the Lu family, at the initial stage of Foundation Establishment, mid-stage of second-order body refining. The patriarch of the Jin family looked at the message before him with a very solemn expression. He didn't expect that a mere probe from his family would uncover such startling information. Body refinement not only consumes resources but also a great deal of time and effort. Whether Lu Pingan has achieved such progress through serendipitous fortune or extraordinary talent, the patriarch of the Jin family muttered to himself. If it were an ordinary loose cultivator, he wouldn't be so surprised, only considering it a fortunate encounter. But this person is the son of Lu Changxing, which makes him think twice. 4 years ago he had learned the news. Lu Qingshan of the Jinyang sect challenged at the Heavenly Sword sect and overpowered his peers unmatched. Previously a Lu Qingshan, now another Lu Pinggan. What kind of incredible luck has Lu Changxing stumbled upon for his ancestral tomb to be shining with golden light? The patriarch of the Jin family took a deep breath, his eyes revealing a hint of envy. He immediately sent a message to convene a family meeting, to discuss and decide how to respond to this matter. Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Lu Pinggan, the eldest son of the Lu family, defeated Tao Jizhong of the Zi Luodao head-on, forcing Lu Qingsong to sever his own arm. Lu Yuanding, Lu Muping and others were utterly astonished upon hearing this news. They didn't expect that among Lu Changsheng's children, another had broken through to foundation establishment. Especially Lu Yuanding. He still remembered when Lu Changsheng's first son was born, he, as the family head, had given his blessings. And now this child had become an esteemed foundation establishment cultivator. It made him quite emotional. Lu Qingshan, Lu Pinggan. Lu Changxing is really too lucky. Some high-level members of the Lu family who knew about Lu Qingshan sighed over Lu Changsheng's good fortune. After all, for a family to produce a foundation establishment seedling could be considered as their ancestral tomb emitting golden light. And Lu Changxing not only had a son like Lu Qingshan, who is exceptionally talented, but now also in Lu Pinggan. Such similar emotions are not only felt in Qingzhou Mountain. Places like Hundred Birds Lake, Centipede Ridge, Ironwood Mountains Mo family, Stream Mountains Ning family, and other family forces all felt endless emotions. Because a family cannot rely solely on the older generation. It needs a continual influx of fresh blood, the rise of the younger generation to grow rapidly. Today the fame and influence of Qingzhou Mountain are solely maintained by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. The appearance of Lu Pinggan now also tells everyone that Qingzhou Mountain has successors, with the second generation of the Lu family making their mark. But thinking that Lu Changxing is not yet 70 years old, many feel an unfathomable wariness. Not only other families. When the news from White Tiger Mountain reached Qingzhou Mountain, many Lu family disciples were also surprised and wondered. Like Lu Qingshan, Lu Chuanzhen breaking through to foundation establishment, they wouldn't be so surprised. But Lu Pinggan is usually so low-key. Suddenly becoming a foundation-building great cultivator, with such astonishing combat power, left them feeling envious and full of drive. And the concubines of the Lu family felt envious towards Lu Lanshu, hoping their own children could break through to foundation establishment like Lu Pinggan, and become famous one day. Well done. Lu Miaohuan showed a smile on her face when she heard her own son and Lu Pinggan had forced a foundation establishment cultivator to sever his own arm. After all, forcing a foundation establishment cultivator while still in the Qi refinement realm is something one could boast about for a lifetime. Yuner, send Pinggan's information to Rui Prefecture, tell your aunt Lanshu to come to Bihu Mountain, and have Xingyang prepare the foundation establishment ceremony. After your father comes out of his retreat, well set a date to hold a ceremony for your elder brother. Lu Miaoyun instructed her son Lu Yun upon hearing this news. She had once asked Lu Changxing about the issue of Lu Pinggan's foundation establishment ceremony. But Lu Changxing had said it would be a few years, or perhaps when the news of Lu Pinggan's foundation establishment became known. Now that this situation has arisen, the foundation establishment ceremony can naturally be arranged. Furthermore, this event, after it develops, is bound to make other family forces wary. It is just right to use the ceremony to invite other family forces to come together, to indicate their family's stance and attitude, still to value peace and prosperity. Yes, mother. Lu Yun nodded in response. Even though he felt envious upon hearing this news. I wonder if I can break through to foundation establishment in my lifetime? Lu Yun thought about his own circumstances. If he focused on cultivation, he might have a chance to attempt foundation establishment before the age of 60. But with his 7th grade spiritual root, even with a foundation establishment pill, the chances of breaking through are only 20 to 30%. Chapter 1072. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Chapter 1072. Chapter 379. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Regarding White Tiger Mountain, Lu Changxing was oblivious to what was happening with his own son. He was still breaking through the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Boom boom boom, within the Changxing Hall, Lu Changxing sat cross-legged, immobile as if he was an unblemished piece of jade, his body dazzling and radiant with treasure-like luster flowing through it. His organs resonated continuously, clanging noisily, His breath boomed like rolling thunder, raising a terrifying force around his body as if waves were crashing against the shore. His flesh, bones and organs were all undergoing metamorphosis, a transformation akin to molting, shattering and rebirthing. Who knows how long had passed when the radiance around Lu Changxing gradually retracted. There was no longer any trace of vitality flowing through his body, his breath was feeble, and his heart, blood and organs seemed to have stopped functioning. This was where flesh, organs and bones reached their limits, a rebirth from annihilation, completing the final transformation. In this way Lu Changxing sat without moving, resembling a piece of withered wood, his breathing halted. His skin, once translucent, aged visibly at a rapid pace, deathly still. Time trickled by. Lu Changxing appeared as if he had passed away, his body decaying and withering. However, just as his vitality completely ceased and he reached his demise, his entire being, like plants enduring the bitter cold winter, burst forth anew with life. Thump. Lu Changxing's heartbeat. The faint heartbeat sound grew louder, escalating steadily into a powerful rhythm, like drums of gods and demons. Rustle, rustle. At this moment, his blood began to revive, following the rhythm of his heartbeat. His fresh, sparkling red blood surged like mighty rivers through his limbs and bones, cleansing his flesh, meridians, bones and organs. Who knows how much time passed when Lu Changxing completed the transformation and opened his eyes. His body was pristine and flawless, sacred and brilliant like divine gold, devoid of any imperfection. So this is what third-order body refining feels like. Lu Changxing felt the surging divine power throughout his body and murmured to himself. The leap from the 8th to the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was a qualitative change. His physical body was now on an entirely different realm from before. Faced with someone like the elder ancestor of the Su family, a false core immortal, no need for the 9 treasures Rui Bone, a single punch could obliterate him. Even if his opponent's magical treasures attacked, he could try to withstand them with his bare hands. As for any spiritual artifacts or magical treasure embryo, smash them directly. Because his body was the most formidable humanoid weapon, comparable to magical treasures. However, the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art is much more difficult than I imagined. He'll have to remind Pingon to be extra cautious. Lu Changxing thought back on the breakthrough process. His 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art had long been at the peak of the 8th level. He was only accumulating his foundation, waiting until his physique could no longer advance before challenging the 9th level. Yet even so, he felt the process was extraordinarily perilous. One misstep could have led to a failed breakthrough. If the breakthrough had failed, he would not have died, but his body would have been severely damaged, and his vital energy severely depleted. I wonder if I can now contend against her. Lu Changxing clenched his hand, slightly warping and collapsing the space around, thinking of his female knight, Kaiyun True Immortal Yun Wanshang. Among all the cultivators he had encountered so far, she was the strongest. He stood no chance against her. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Changxing drew a conclusion. Unless he ambushed her while she was completely unguarded. Otherwise he stood no chance against this Kaiyun True Immortal. The one who previously appeared silently beside him, restraining his divine sense and mana with a mere wave of her hand, possessed strength far beyond an ordinary nascent soul immortal. At least in the middle stage of nascent soul or even late stage. Enduring the bitterest willows to become the greatest amongst men, what's this little bit of hardship? Lu Changxing didn't dwell much on Yun Wanshang's matter. Just being ridden. Although a bit gloomy, it was not to the point of seriousness. Just consider it as offering some prenatal aura to his child's mother in advance. Once his own strength rose, Mr. Lu would tell her that his yin-yang energies were not to be taken lightly, only his child's mother was entitled to them. Lu Changxing snapped his fingers, casting a cleansing technique, tidied up his robe a bit, and stepped out of the cave mansion. It seems the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus will have to wait some more. Seeing the heavenly origin precious lotus in the spiritual spring, Lu Changxing silently mused. He had planned to use the heavenly origin precious lotus at the peak of foundation establishment, incorporating it as his second dantian to cultivate the yin-yang primordial pill method. However, the origins of the heavenly origin precious lotus were not clean. If used now, it would be awkward if Yun Wanshang took notice. Although she seemed to bear no ill will toward him. But caution is always a necessity. He could not just trust her unconditionally like he did with Xianxia because they had been intimate. Chapter 1073, the Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Chapter 1073, Chapter 379, the Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Because overseeing the cutting of Spirit Vein requires a protector. Enling Zixiao, being proficient in Formation Path, is very suitable for this task. It was only after Lu Changxing stepped out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and returned to the Lu family mansion that he realized this breakthrough took him half a year. Shortly after he entered closed-door cultivation, an incident involving Lu Pingan occurred at White Tiger Mountain. Since the ceremony has already been prepared, we might as well send out the invitations right now. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately responded, not minding that Lu Pingan's cultivation level had been revealed. Even without this incident, he was planning to hold a foundation establishment ceremony for Lu Pingan in the next 2 years. Afterwards, Lu Changxing inquired if there were other matters at home. Lu Miaoyun indicated that there was nothing significant at home, but news from Azure Phoenix Immortal City reported that Azure Phoenix Immortal had been severely injured again. Severely injured again? Lu Changxing was somewhat speechless. He had heard news of Azure Phoenix Immortal's severe injuries 3 or 4 times already. Each time the news was proven to be false. This time chances are high that it's true. There are rumors that a false core immortal in Azure Phoenix Immortal City was killed, and Azure Phoenix Immortal did not intervene. Afterwards, some forces tested the waters by attacking numerous Foundation establishment cultivators of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and yet Azure Phoenix Immortal still did not step in to stabilize the situation. Now the entire Azure Phoenix Immortal City's security has been affected, causing panic among the people, and many cultivators are leaving the city. Lu Miaoyun stated. A false core immortal and several Foundation establishment cultivators were killed. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing was somewhat astonished. Such casualties were indeed severe, amounting to blatant provocation. Back when a false core patriarch of the Su family was slain, elder ancestor of the Su family directly went to the 5 Elements royal family to assert power. Now something akin is happening in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, but Azure Phoenix Immortal has not come forward to calm the populace, clearly indicating a problem. If Azure Phoenix Immortal continues to lay low, and this matter is completely confirmed, the flow of people in Azure Phoenix Immortal City will certainly decline rapidly. After all, apart from its environmental advantages, the reason why Azure Phoenix Immortal City has become a sanctuary for independent cultivators is also inseparable from the formidable reputation of Azure Phoenix Immortal, Jianghu Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator. Well, it's difficult to verify the authenticity of this news, but it is true that there are security issues in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Rumor has it that robber cultivators are rampant around Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and even armed conflicts have erupted in the outer city, Lu Miaoyun voiced. Though Azure Phoenix Immortal City is very far from by Lake Mountain and wouldn't affect this region. But such matters signal potential unrest in Jianghu country cultivation realm. Is there any news from Feiyu's side? Lu Changxing thought of his friend who was working in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He had kept in touch with Li Feiyu over the years, with the latter frequently sending him spiritual materials via Green Cloud spirit ship. Given the current situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he estimated that it might affect his friend. No. Lu Miaoyun shook her head, indicating that she hadn't received any related correspondence from Li Feiyu. If such a thing really occurred in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, even if Feiyu knew, he wouldn't dare to mention it in a letter. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly, contemplative. With such an incident in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, many forces would certainly be watching closely. Even the city's mail might be intercepted by other forces. Someone like Li Feiyu, who holds an important position in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, is especially a subject of attention. After pondering for a moment, he wrote a letter, advising Li Feiyu to be extra cautious and to consider returning for a visit if the city became unstable. However, knowing Feiyu's character, even if problems truly arise in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he is unlikely to flee immediately. Lu Changxing shook his head, musing inwardly. He felt that his good brother would probably only consider fleeing if Azure Phoenix Immortal City completely fell apart. Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family. Although Lu Pingan is formidable, as long as our ancestor makes a move, he will surely be able to slay him. Right, with Lu Pingan dead, the Lu family ceremony would turn into a funeral, and Lu Changxing would surely be immensely grieved. Even if we can't kill Lu Pingan, crippling him would also disgust the Lu family for decades. In the Jin family conference hall, Several high-level members heard about the Foundation establishment ceremony at Bai Lake Mountain and planned to intercept Lu Pingan on his way from White Tiger Mountain to Bai Lake Mountain. Families like theirs fear nothing more than lack of continuity and successors. Many family forces see a generational gap not because there hasn't been a Foundation establishment prospect in decades, but because such prospects perish prematurely. This isn't appropriate. If something happens to Lu Pingan at this time, Bai Lake Mountain will surely suspect our family. Although we aren't afraid of them, with our great elder currently attempting to break through to false core in the Immortal City, there's no need to take this risk. Just wait for the great elder's successful breakthrough. No matter what Lu and his wife do, there'll be no match for our Jin family. Among the high-level members of the Jin family, one shook his head and said, "Indeed, Lu Changxing is not simple. Even his son in the Qi refinement realm possesses a talisman treasure. That Lu Pingan surely has life-saving resources at his disposal. If he isn't eliminated, it will be very troublesome." Another high-ranking member of the Jin family spoke up. Over the years, they had been closely monitoring the situation at Bai Lake Mountain. They strongly suspected that the opportunity obtained by Lu Changxing was extraordinary, possibly the entire legacy of a nascent soul immortal. Otherwise, even if Lu Changxing was a second-order top-level talisman master and second-order alchemist with a booming family puppet business, it would not be possible for him to possess such an array of wealth and treasures. Let's wait for the breakthrough of the Great Elder before discussing this further. Moreover, the news about Lu Pingan and Lu Qingshan has already reached the beast-taming Su family. That Su family elder who didn't act against Lu Changxing and his wife back then would definitely not sit idle seeing the current situation at Bai Lake Mountain, and it's highly likely they will take action against the Lu family. Hearing these words, the patriarch of the Jin family pondered for a long time before finally deciding. Their Jin family was at a critical moment right now. As long as the great elder Jin Zan successfully makes his breakthrough, the family's deadlock would naturally resolve itself, allowing them to advance further. Half a month later, Lu Pingan's Foundation establishment ceremony began. The ceremony, held at Bai Lake Mountain, being the first Foundation establishment ceremony for the second generation of the Lu family, was grand and lively. Greetings to young Master Lu. Indeed, a lion doesn't father a lamb. Congratulations to Lu Ancestor. Lu Ancestor has taught his child well. I wonder if young Master Lu is married yet, my daughter? At Biyun Villa, numerous Foundation establishment ancestors came to offer their congratulations. Looking at Lu Changxing and Lu Lansh's son, Lu Pingan, their hearts filled with envy and admiration. Sitting in the main seat, Lu Lanshu watched the scene unfold, her son seemingly like a dream come true. She had waited too long for this day. Even though she knew early on that her son would break through to Foundation establishment and that a ceremony would be held at home. Still, seeing her son receiving such widespread attention at this moment, her eyes reddened with overwhelming joy and she burst into tears. Hee. Lu Changxing, bringing along his son Lu Pingan, socialized with these Foundation establishment ancestors. He reiterated their family's policy of valuing peace above all, asking everyone to rest assured. Regarding partnerships and marriage alliances, he was very willing from Bai Lake Mountain. Subsequently, he and Lu Lanshu took Lu Pingan to meet other energy-refining cultivators outside the villa, allowing these family forces to get acquainted with Lu Pingan. Congratulations, big brother. Congratulations, uncle. Congratulations, cousin Pingan. The Lu family disciples from Bai Lake Mountain and Jianghu Mountain were the most enthusiastic, congratulating Lu Pingan. During this time, many daughters of smaller families cast admiring glances at Lu Pingan, while shyly looking at Lu Changxing. Despite seeing these gazes, Lu Changxing naturally noticed but harbored no thoughts of taking concubines. Or rather, these ordinary Qi refining female cultivators with average spiritual roots were no longer appealing to Lu Ancestor. As for Lu Pingan, he was indifferent to these looks. Thus, the ceremony continued for 3 days before concluding, and the guests dispersed. Lu Pingan and others like Lu Qingsong returned to White Tiger Mountain to oversee things. During this period, there were no movements from Dragon Light Commerce Chamber and Golden Dragon Ridge. Even the Jin family sent a gift during the ceremony. However, Lu Changxing always felt that the Jin family did not harbor good intentions and acted as if nothing happened. Buzz. That day, Lu Changxing sensed something and a jade slip appeared in his hand. He knew it was Yun Wanshang contacting him, signaling him to come over and assist her in cultivation. Although Lu Changxing was quite open about this. Still, the thought of the esteemed Lu ancestor having to make the initiative, being blinded, and ridden by divine sense felt quite suffocating. Should I struggle a bit during the process? Lu Changxing thought to himself, feeling that if he made a full effort he might break free from the restraints. Then, taking advantage of the opponent's weakened state. Forget it, this is just the first episode plotline. A regular nascent soul cultivator shouldn't be this weak. Lu Changxing shook his head. To endure the hardest hardships is what makes a greater man. Isn't this also a form of cultivation, a form of tempering? With this epiphany, Lu Changxing informed his family and set out for the appointment. However, before leaving, he used the 9 treasures Rui Bone to seal his cultivation level to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Although he wasn't sure if Yun Wanshang had seen through his cultivation level, it was better to conceal it if possible. Chapter 1074. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1074. Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. Lu Changxing had just traveled a few dozen miles away from Bai Lake Mountain when he suddenly sensed a divine sense sweeping over him. This divine sense was extremely secretive. Had it not been for his divine sense being comparable to that of a nascent soul immortal and wearing a fate-defying robe, he might not have noticed it at all. Next, Lu Changxing shrewdly discovered that the other party had left an almost undetectable divine sense mark on his robe, which could be used for positioning and tracking. What's the situation? Is it a robber cultivator killing people for their treasures? No, this person's divine sense is at least at the level of a false core immortal. It's impossible for such a powerful robber cultivator to be in this area. Could it be ancestor of Jin family lying in wait for me here? Lu Changxing wondered inwardly, unsure of the circumstances. To avoid startling the snake, he acted as if nothing had happened and continued to steer his purple flying shuttle through the clouds. However, during this process, Lu Changxing quietly and imperceptibly began to unravel his third-order body refining. After flying another 100 miles, a figure appeared, shouting at Lu Changxing, "Taoist, please halt." However, just as this voice sounded, Lu Changxing sharply heard a hissing noise that was harsh to the ears. Without any hesitation, he fully activated the 100 Refinements treasure body art, and his muscles seemed to stretch a few inches taller. Clang clang. The sound of metal striking metal rang out. Lu Changxing saw 2 pale gray flying snakes as thick as chopsticks, baring their teeth in front of him. "You're a body cultivator?" The golden robe cultivator not far away was shocked to see that Lu Changxing was unharmed under the attack of his shadow-flying snakes. His eyes widened. It must be known that both of these flying snakes had second-rank peak strength. Under a sneak attack they could threaten a false core immortal. The Lu Changxing in front of him was just a foundation establishment cultivator. How could he have such an astonishing ability for body refinement? Courting death. Lu Changxing locked his gaze on the golden robe elder before him, his pupils narrowed, and his physical body fully unleashed, emitting a terrifying bodily presence. A third-order body cultivator? The golden robe elder felt an aura as terrifying as that of a third-rank demon king, and his face turned pale in an instant. Isn't Lu Changxing just a little foundation establishment cultivator? How can he become a third-order body cultivator in the blink of an eye? The golden robe elder didn't dare to ponder further. Without the slightest hesitation, his entire being turned into a rainbow light and he madly fled. Wanna run? Lu Changxing had once heard from Su Rian that this third ancestor of the Su family had taken notice of him and might take action against him. He had not expected that the other party would be lying in ambush outside by Lake Mountain to attack him. Had he truly been a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator, facing such an ambush, it would have been a situation with no chance of survival. Upon recognizing him, Su Ge's face looked mournful. He wanted to say something, but Lu Changxing once again applied a soul dispersion needle and punched him in the Qi Ocean core, shattering his bones, contorting his body like a shrimp and making him vomit blood. 9 treasures Rui Bone, seal. Then Lu Changxing's chest burst with the 9 treasures Rui Bone, unleashing a torrent of mysterious power that entered Su Ge's sea of consciousness and core, sealing his spiritual force and mana. Had it not been for my desire to capture you alive, you would already be dead. Lu Changxing looked at the now unconscious Su Gu and sneered. With his current strength, killing the opponent would have been quite simple. Chapter 1075. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1075. Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. But the ambush against me must have some reason. So I'm prepared to bring him back to Bihu Lake Mountain to interrogate him with the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom to find out the reason. Does the beast-taming Su family know about this? Whoosh whoosh. Afterward, Lu Changxing looked at the two flying serpents not far away, and his figure burst forth, easily suppressing them, then crushing them to death. These two flying serpents were clearly the spirit beasts of that ancestor from the Su family, too difficult to tame, better to just kill them. Lu Changxing went to the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer and removed anything suspicious from Su Gu. After cleaning him up, he returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, found his wife Lu Miaohuan, and said he was going to use the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. The Abyssal Ghoul Blossom had been refined by his wife into her lifespan spiritual plant. Its original spirit intelligence had already vanished, leaving only the instinctual consciousness of the spirit plant. All right. Lu Miaohuan agreed immediately upon hearing this and went with Lu Changxing to Lake Heart Island. The beautifully enchanting Abyssal Ghoul Blossom swayed, emitting a charming glow. Thorny roots filled with dark red barbs emerged from the ground, tightly entwining the unconscious Su Gu and dragging him into the bud, which resembled a deep abyssal maw. What are you going to do? No, Lu Changxing, you cannot kill me. If you do, my beast-taming Su family will not let you off. Under this painful sensation, Su Gu gradually regained consciousness. He felt his flesh, mana and soul, all being devoured by a force. He tried to struggle, but he was seriously injured, his mana soul sealed by the 9 treasures Rui Bone, utterly unable to fight back. The beast-taming Su family? Lu Miaohuan looked at her husband somewhat surprised after hearing this. She was naturally aware of the beast-taming Su family. The #1 family in the Qingyun region. One of the 3 nascent soul great clans of Jianghu country. 13 years ago, a false core patriarch of the Su family was killed, and to establish their dominance, their core formation old ancestor took 2 third-order spirit beasts to the 5 elements royal family, becoming renowned throughout the Jianghu country cultivation realm. Therefore, knowing that the cultivator in front of her came from the beast-taming Su family, Lu Miaohuan was very surprised. No need to worry. Lu Changxing said calmly, holding his wife's cool hand. He had killed false core immortals of the beast-taming Su family before. What's another one? Moreover, since the other party ambushed him and saw his true strength, he was destined to have no way out but death. Lu Changxing went beside the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom immediately and placed his hand on the enchanting flower. Instantly, a series of fragmented memories appeared before his eyes like a disjointed movie. The memories were vast and chaotic. Lu Changxing closed his eyes and quietly searched for the useful information he needed. After a while, Lu Changxing opened his eyes. He obtained the information he generally wanted. This attack first started when he and Lu Miaoge were 2 striking years ago, catching the attention of this Su family ancestor. Then there was the matter of Lu Qingshan challenging the Heavenly Sword sect, which also caught the attention of this Su family ancestor, who wanted to eliminate him. Finally, not long ago, the matter of Lu Pingan led this Su family ancestor to investigate and analyze from various perspectives, suspecting that Lu Changxing might be some kind of spiritual body that easily gives birth to extraordinarily talented offspring. Chapter 1076. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1076. Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. So he wanted to capture him and bring him back to the beast-taming Su family for breeding purposes. Lu Changxing, upon seeing this message, was somewhat dumbfounded. He never expected that the main reason why the other party was staking out outside by Lake Mountain was to capture him and bring him back to the Su family for breeding. However, this also made Lu Changxing realize one thing. There are no fools in the cultivation world. With his frenzied childbearing and multiple talented children appearing in his family, anyone would notice and suspect this. After all, the probability of his children having spiritual roots and being geniuses was far above the normal level, which easily attracted attention. It seems I need to be more cautious in the future. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Once his genius children grow up and come into their own, there will be no way to cover it up or explain it. After all, one could explain the cultivation level with fortuitous encounters. But childbearing, aside from spiritual body and bloodline, there really is no explanation. Su guess information about the ambush on his trip out, someone in the Su family knows? Lu Changxing looked at the message, narrowing his eyes with a somewhat solemn expression. He wasn't afraid of the beast-taming Su family. After all, his family had Mount Sumeru backing them, and as long as no nascent soul true lord attacked, they were safe and untroubled. And with his third-order body refining and having thousand faces puppet fox, endless guileful head, and the dark demon corpse, he wasn't afraid of the core formation old ancestor of the Su family. But if the elder ancestor of the Su family came to Bai Lake Mountain as they had gone to the Five Elements royal family, it would indeed cause him a lot of trouble. Especially if he were to use these tactics in public, there would be no way to explain it and it would bring countless troubles. Currently no one knows my strength, so the death of Su Gu, the beast-taming Su family, might not necessarily suspect this little foundation establishment cultivator. Moreover, according to Su Ge's memory, the elder ancestor of the Su family was tyrannical and domineering, bringing two third-order spiritual beasts to blockade the Five Elements royal family's gate because the elder ancestor was injured and used this method for intimidation. So the likelihood of this elder ancestor from the Su family coming to block my Bai Lake Mountain is small, Lu Changxing pondered. Yet he felt that he could not wager on this matter. Perhaps he should also find time to go to Dragon Head Mountain of the beast-taming Su family, and stake out there. Wait for the day when the elder ancestor of the Su family leaves, he could rely on Thousand Faces puppet fox, endless guileful head to ambush him. Or perhaps through the book of malevolent curses and fates, curse and kill this elder ancestor of the Su family. Wait, I also have backing. At this moment, Lu Changxing remembered he also had backing. No matter how powerful the beast-taming Su family is, could they be more powerful than Qingyun sect than Kaiyun True Immortal? This Kaiyun True Immortal, as enforcement hall master of Qingyun sect, at least has a mid-stage core formation, and his disciples are also nascent soul immortals. As long as the Su family dared to come and cause trouble, block the gate, all he had to do was shake people up. Almost forgot the main business, I still have to go to the secret meeting. Suddenly Lu Changxing remembered because of Su Ge's matter, he had even delayed his main business. Perhaps Kaiyun True Immortal was waiting for him. Huan, I have to go out for a while. If anything happens at home, immediately send me a message. When you have time, sort through the information about the beast-taming Su family from Su Ge's memory fragments. Lu Changxing immediately said to Lu Miaohuan. Su Gu, as the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family, knew many family secrets. If he could obtain these secrets, it would also help in future confrontations with the Su family. All right, husband, be careful on your way. Lu Miaohuan nodded in response. Then Lu Changxing quickly tidied up and rode the flying shuttle away from Bai Lake Mountain, heading to the secret meeting point. He thought about whether he should make his clothes and magic aura messy, and then claimed that he was delayed because he was ambushed by the beast-taming Su family on the way. Perhaps even cling to the other party's legs, crying and saying that he almost didn't get to see them. This idea alone made Lu Changxing himself shudder. He, the great Lu ancestor, how could he possibly do such a thing? Chapter 1077. Real person, you must stand up for me. Chapter 1077. Chapter 381. Real person, you must stand up for me. Dragon Head Mountain. Beast-taming Su family. In the sumptuous palace paved with gold and jade, the atmosphere was tense and heavy. Elder ancestor of the Su family sat in the main seat, his face as gloomy as water, his body emanating a terrifying presence as deep and as formidable as an abyss, like a volcano about to erupt at any moment. Several high-ranking members of the Su family were prostrate on the ground, shivering, not daring to speak, overwhelmed by the awe-inspiring presence of their own elder ancestor. However, they could understand the wrath of their elder ancestor. During his closed-door cultivation, 2 false core patriarchs in the family had been successively killed. Moreover, the deaths were mysterious, with not even a clue as to the killer or the forces behind the act. What has happened? The elder ancestor of the Su family suppressed the anger in his heart, his voice deep and forceful, echoing through the palace like rolling thunder. The beast-taming Su family, as one of the top-tier forces in Jianghu country and a nascent soul noble family with a legacy spanning thousands of years, was highly esteemed. Now, 2 false core immortals had died in succession. Moreover, their deaths were utterly inexplicable, and it was unknown which forces were behind them. Disgrace. Provocation. This was a blatant disgrace and provocation, trampling over the dignity of the beast-taming Su family. Yet, following the deaths of the 2 false cores, an inexplicable fear began to rise in the heart of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Besides the four great immortal sects, no one in the cultivation realm of Jiang country would dare to oppose the Su family in such a manner. Elder ancestor Su Gu should have gone to the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. A member of the Su family cautiously began to speak. Blue Lake Mountain Lu family? The eyes of the elder ancestor of the Su family opened and closed, strands of golden light flowing within, captivating the soul. Although the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family had a not-so-small reputation in the Qingyun region, it was still insignificant in the eyes of the elder ancestor. Report to elder ancestor. This high-ranking member of the Su family immediately spoke up, explaining that the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family had emerged as a force in the past 20 years. Their patriarch, Lu Changxing, and his wife, Lu Miaoge, practiced a dual cultivation technique, and their combined strength was comparable to that of a false core immortal. Moreover, Lu Changxing carried a certain heritage of the talisman path, and soon after his foundation establishment breakthrough, he relied on talisman formations to kill 3 foundation establishment cultivators, making his name in a single battle and beginning his rise. Even if this couple's combined strength is on par with a false core, they could not have killed Su Gu. The elder ancestor of the Su family declared. Although Su Ge's character was flawed, but as a false core immortal, there was no doubting his combat prowess. How could 2 cultivators who only barely contend with a false core through their dual cultivation technique, be Su Ge's opponent? And to kill Su Gu? Could it be that all the disciples he raised in the beast-taming Su family were incompetent? It was known that the cultivators of the beast-taming Su family each had spiritual beasts, greatly surpassing their peers in strength. Moreover, due to experiences in his early years, Su Gu was very cautious in his actions. Even when facing foundation establishment cultivators, he would choose to ambush. It was not possible for him to mock his opponents openly, giving them a chance before engaging in combat. Therefore, under these circumstances, he found it even less plausible that 2 little foundation establishment cultivators could kill Su Gu. Could it be the Qingyun sect? The elder ancestor of the Su family felt a sinking in his heart upon hearing that the location of Blue Lake Mountain was not far from Qingyun sect. Although the beast-taming Su family was under the rule of the Qingyun sect, they were sovereign in their own right. The Qingyun sect was not keen on seeing the Su family become too powerful. But he immediately dismissed this thought. Given the current situation of the Su family, there was no need for the Qingyun sect to engage in such actions. If there was another nascent soul cultivator in the family, it might be understandable for the Qingyun sect to take such actions, with some justification. Could it be the 5 Elements royal family? The elder ancestor of the Su family continued to ponder. Back in the day, he had gone to the 5 Elements royal family to slap their face and establish his might. The royal family must have held a grudge. Perhaps despite him, they took the opportunity to ambush Su Gu. Elder ghost of the Wang family would not have the guts to do such a thing, for if anything happened to him, the 5 Elements royal family would completely fall. The elder ancestor of the Su family rejected this thought as well, considering other family forces. Elder ancestor Lu Changxing of Blue Lake Mountain must have had a great opportunity or a significant fortuitous encounter to rise up so quickly in just a few decades, perhaps holding some treasure in his hands. So, at this moment, the family head of the Su family bravely spoke up. When the second ancestor of the Su family was killed years ago, there was a long investigation without any clues. Now, with the situation of Su Gu, except for the knowledge that Su Gu was preparing to ambush Lu Changxing at Blue Lake Mountain, there was no information or clues. Asking them to investigate this matter was doomed to yield no clues to the killer. So the only option was to blame this incident on Blue Lake Mountain and try to quell the elder ancestor's rage. Send someone to investigate Blue Lake Mountain. If it's indeed related, report back immediately. The elder ancestor of the Su family said with a grave voice. Although the possibility was extremely slim, it could not be entirely dismissed. The matter of Su Gu must not be spread. Going forward, retract the family's forces, stay vigilant, and keep a close watch on the movements of Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, Danxia Mountain, Huanin sect, Wang family, and Shengguan family. The elder ancestor of the Su family continued, his voice filled with authority and decisiveness. In his heart, he still leaned towards the involvement of other nascent soul-level powers. After all, many times, the adversaries might not necessarily have a direct conflict of interest with his Su family. Perhaps some force wanted to drive a wedge, hoping to benefit from the chaos like a fisherman reaping the rewards. Yes, elder ancestor. The members of the Su family responded in unison. Meanwhile, within a cave in a mountain range, Yun Wanshang, sensing something, opened her beautiful eyes. Oh. She looked at the approaching Lu Changxing, his face pale and his mana aura disordered and weak, and her brow slightly furrowed. She had called him to cultivate, but why did he look as if he had just undergone a tough magical duel? Elder. Seeing the stunning and noble Yun Wanshang dressed in a colorful palace outfit before him, Lu Changxing's eyes showed a trace of amazement before he quickly bowed in a salutation. What has happened to you? As a nascent soul immortal, the master of the Qingyun sect's enforcement hall, she might be naive and indecisive in matters of emotion, lacking decisiveness. But in other respects she was no fool. She could see through Lu Changxing's minor tricks at a glance. Seeing that he obviously wanted her to know and help but deliberately shied away, waiting for her to ask proactively, she intentionally refrained from asking. Now that he hinted at her through inquiring about the duration, she didn't want to beat around the bush. Elder, it was the beast-taming Su family. Lu Changxing immediately said. Since she took the initiative to ask, it meant she was willing to help, so he would not hesitate. Regarding the matter of killing Su Gu, Lu Changxing did not consider it a big deal to reveal it to Yun Wanshang. After all, she had helped with Lady Meng's matter before, showing great regard for their relationship. Of course, it could also be for Xiaoxia's sake or perhaps because he had once saved Chu Qingyi. The beast-taming Su family? Yun Wanshang's brows furrowed slightly. In her view, the beast-taming Su family should have no direct feud with Lu Changxing. Why would they go out of their way to assassinate Lu Changxing? That person is Su Gu, the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family. For some reason he took notice of me and laid an ambush outside Bihu Lake to kill me. If it weren't for my hidden skills, Lu Changxing spoke in a low and aggrieved voice, as though telling a parent that he had been bullied at school. Su family Su Gu? Yun Wanshang was familiar with this person. In his earlier years he was also a genius of the Su family, with the potential for core formation. But after his life-bound beast was killed by a true inheritor of the spirit-taming sect, his Dao foundation was damaged and he never recovered. Later he mysteriously broke through to false core. Due to this experience, Su Gu became profoundly affected by the harshness of the world, his psyche distorted, taking pleasure in bullying the weak and hunting talented cultivators. For someone like Lu Changxing to catch Su Gu's attention was quite normal. This person likes to hunt talented cultivators. You've been too high profile these years and without any backing, so it's normal for him to take notice. I will have someone warn him afterward. He won't dare to move against you again. Yun Wanshang spoke calmly and coolly, her voice carrying an invisible but heart-shaking authority. In her view, Lu Changxing was also one of her own. So, if one is to beat a dog, they must watch the owner. Moreover, should anything happen to Lu Changxing, her opportunity at reaching nascent soul would be gone. This Su Gu causing trouble for Lu Changxing was simply courting death. But facing his assassination, I had no choice but to rely on a talisman formation to kill him, Lu Changxing said somewhat shyly. Yun Wanshang was startled and somewhat puzzled, wondering if she had heard wrong. Kill Su Gu? A foundation establishment cultivator defeating a false core immortal? She knew that Lu Changxing had a great fortune, a big secret, concealed his cultivation level, and his power was far beyond his peers. But she had never expected Lu Changxing to actually kill a false core immortal. And considering that Lu Changxing had only suffered excessive consumption and mana disarray without any real injury beforehand, this was astonishing, very astonishing. After a moment of silence, her voice detachedly stated, "If he is dead, then he is dead. But I heard that years ago, when a false core patriarch of the Su family was killed by the Five Elements royal family, the family patriarch brought 2 third-order spirit beasts to the Five Elements royal family." Chapter 1079. Real person, please stand up for me. Chapter 1079. Chapter 381. Real person, please stand up for me. Lu Changxing spoke anxiously and fearfully. Yun Wanshang found it somewhat amusing, immediately realizing what Lu Changxing was worried about. He was afraid that the elder ancestor of the Su family might come knocking. However, in her view, Lu Changxing's worries were somewhat unnecessary. Not to mention that the idea of someone at the foundation establishment killing a false core was too bizarre. Would the Su family even suspect Lu Changxing? As a nascent soul immortal, The elder ancestor of Su family would not stoop as low as treating by Lake Mountain the way he dealt with the Five Elements royal family. He wouldn't demean himself. Even the elder ancestor of the Su family would feel embarrassed. If the beast-taming Su family gives you trouble, directly send me a message. Yun Wanshang's voice was clear and crisp. Shortly afterward, a 5-colored token flew into Lu Changsheng's secret chamber. This is my token, sealed with a divine skill. Should your life be in danger, you may display this token to activate the divine skill within. Upon this, Yun Wanshang realized that if Lu Changsheng encountered danger outside, it would affect her too, hence she gave him the token. Not to mention, possessing this token, the core formation forces of the entire Jiang country cultivation realm would hesitate to move against Lu Changsheng. If indeed they did act, the divine skills might within the token could also give him an additional means to protect himself. Divine skills? Lu Changsheng looked at the token and immediately voiced his thanks. Thank you, senior. At this moment, any minor grievances he felt for being dominated throughout were completely dispelled. So long as the other party was willing, he'd gladly bend over backwards and use every tactic available to express his gratitude. And in this moment, Lu Changsheng also realized that the character of Kaiyun True Immortal bore some similarities to his Soul Path Dreams master. A sharp tongue but a soft heart, very protective, a person who is more receptive to gentleness than coercion. Lu Changsheng felt, were it not for his early core formation and obtaining a high-quality gold core, he might have actually considered going to Qingyun sect for core formation. Unbeknownst to him, 3 months passed. During this time, Lu Changsheng also worried if the beast-taming Su family would directly come to his home to cause trouble. If the sensing talisman showed the slightest activity, he would immediately return to Bai Lake Mountain with Yun Wanshang. However, these 3 months were quite peaceful and there were no incidents at home. He was completely focused on cultivation, restoring his primordial yang, and then dual cultivating with Yun Wanshang.